Hey, welcome, Stunthangar fans. It is April 12th, 2019, Friday again. And here's our Stunthangar control line hangouts. And welcome. And the links are in the usual places, of course, in the At the Bench thread, not the open forum, but in the At the Bench thread on stunthanger.com. And so if you care to join us live on video, then go there to get the link to click to come in here. And otherwise, you can watch us on YouTube where the chat box is up and operating. And arranging all that right now. Okay, yep, we're up. James Faust is the first one in tonight. Good evening, James. Glad to see you. And so y'all hang out with me, and we'll be here at least until midnight as usual. And if the conversation gets good, we'll hang out until about midnight and hopefully have a good time. Don't know what the weather's like everywhere, but it's getting to be pretty good flying weather around here. Hey, Jeff Riley, David Phelps, everybody's dropping in. I hope they keep raining in here as on video as well as in the chat box. We got looks like 5 watching now. I can see who 4 of you are. So good. Well, 3 of you. Yeah, James, Jeff, David, and 2 anonymous viewers are watching us right now. And so anyway, yeah, it's been a great week. It was a busy. Oh, Jack Snavely. Hey, Jack, you're one of the anonymous ones, I guess. Um, we had a busy day in space this week. The first thing was that they finally got a picture of a supermassive black hole in a galaxy far, far away. Um, and it was the first real picture we've gotten of that. And we've always theorized it. And unlike a lot of events in science, when we finally get eyeball, eyeballs on it and proof of it, like I said, unlike what usually happens, it looked exactly like what had been theorized. And that goes back to Einstein, who first theorized that black holes existed. And so that's a treat when something looks like you always thought it would. And then when you finally see it, yep, it does. And then let's see what Wednesday, the SpaceX launch got scrubbed because of shear winds aloft, and they went up yesterday at what was it, either 6:30 or 7:30 yesterday evening, Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Daylight Time, and had a remarkably flawless launch. Watched the boosters come off the sides and land right on the bullseyes back at the Cape, and the core booster separated and landed on the barge upright in the Atlantic. And that was the first time they brought all of them home. And that was the biggest booster that they've ever landed on the barge, too, because even though they attempted with the earlier Falcon Heavy launch last year, this Falcon Heavy had even more engines and fuel. So this one was a bigger, heavier load. After they all landed safely, and the next stage kept on going into an orbit where they could deploy the Arabsat satellite. They did a flawless deployment of it. It traveled on out to its parking orbit, I guess you would call it, where it will supply internet and communications to it's a Saudi Arabian satellite, so the Arabian Peninsula and some of Africa and some of Europe. So a pretty large area will get coverage from that, and it was flawless. I've watched them launch the CubeSats before. Early on, some of the first Falcons that successfully launched commercial payloads launched the CubeSats, which are the tiny satellites that are used for various things. I think GPS is one of them. I'm not actually sure about that, so don't quote me on that. But this is all worth keeping track of. Um, uh, and unfortunately, I was watching a feed other than the official SpaceX homepage because I was watching the chat box on YouTube too, and the server must have overloaded without T minus 10 minutes to go, and that was right when the announcers started talking, and so I scrambled around, and finally in the background I heard something that sounded like people cheering and rockets launching, and realized I had an alternate feed going on another tab, so I got to watch it, didn't miss it. Um, and then for the rest of it, I just opened the SpaceX homepage and watched it there. And so that all, though I had to scramble around a little bit, that all worked out well. Glad I got to see it. It's important stuff for the human race. I mean, we got so much bad crap going on. It's good to hear about something that the smartest, most dedicated people on Earth are putting together, trying to get us outward bound, where we can use something besides the Earth to dig holes in for resources, and more places for us to live and work, because this is not always going to be here, no matter how uh, well we treat the Earth. And my biggest hope is that with outward bound expansion, that wisdom grows, some much needed wisdom grows as well. So that's my that's my space nerd speech of the day. Oh, and oh wait, nope, it's not yet. The Israelis tried to put a lander on the moon yesterday, and unfortunately they lost the comlink, and telemetry went down as it was on its final landing exercises. I think the engine burns were faulty. I don't know the details. This was the one of the X Prize groups that was working on this mission, and they did get the $1 million award for giving it a good go. And I hate that that's all they got to do, because um, for what it's worth, it's all for making life better for us. And if you don't believe that, then I can't explain it to you. But okay, so now I'm done. So let's see. We got JP. Good evening, aerobatic addicts. Good evening, JP. And James Faust. Don't forget Israel. Oh, okay. Thanks, JP. Thanks, James. Jeff Riley. Yeah, SpaceX is 2 miles down. Oops, I got the chat box covered up. 2 miles down the street from me. The tours are really cool. Yeah, I would like to go visit NASA. I have not been there since, first time I ever went was when I was in the seventh grade. It was back during the Apollo program, of course, and we toured the Cape. And I think we saw the VAB. It was there then. It had to be, because that's where they built the Saturn V's. And I remember it being the brightest place I've ever been in my life. I had never, as a kid, never worn sunglasses, and for the first time in my life, the sun was so bright I just couldn't even see. We were surrounded by white concrete, but anyway, I have much better memories than that. That just stands out in my mind. But one time when I was working, I had to work on a machine that was on a Sperry Corporation ship. Everybody said it was a spy ship, and it was covered with antennas uh, from uh, from bow to stern. And so I went down there to work on the equipment on that ship, and got to ride around the Cape a little bit and see, but I didn't actually get a tour. I had to go back to Orlando, get on a plane, fly back to Columbia. It was one Saturday. They had sailed into port and needed an emergency service call, and I guess I was the closest person in the Southeast that could work on that equipment. So anyway, and got to see the Cape again. And says, oh, Terry Forbes, there's 10K. Oh, yeah, I saw that. Available for proof of global curve or rotation. Okay. Now, I can't prove it to you on the show, Terry. Sorry. And don't be coming in here calling me sheeple either. That's just not even on the list. So if you don't like what I'm talking about, I'm not um, I'm not outside of the mainstream here. Okay. So how about save it? And But anyway, if some of y'all light up your cameras and come in here and hang out with me, then we will sit here and talk about aeromodeling or whatever it is you want to talk about, whatever you like to do in your workshop, be it with tools or whatever, and planes, trains, automobiles. It's all good. We all like to do about the same things. And so it's Friday night. I'm glad now I can relax, chill out, slurp my coffee in front of the camera. That's another reason I need somebody to come in here so I don't have to make slurping noises that everybody can hear. Doesn't sound that loud when I do it here, but when I watch the reruns, I can hear it. So it's very unbecoming. But if you flew this week, tell me about it. And if you are building something, come show us what you got. Show and tell is my favorite part of the show. And I think that's the best thing about this show is most of you guys that come in here live are in your workshops. And I can't get out to my workshop and host the show at the same time. I can come to the show as a guest, but I am too far from Wi-Fi to be a good job of hosting. Dennis, hey, I guess that's Dennis Adamison. Everyone, hey, Rusty trying to link up again. Help. Okay, Dennis. Tell me what kind of help you need, and maybe I can help you. You got in the other night. JP said, "What coffee you like, Russ?" Oh, I like the Folgers Black Silk. And Jack Snavely said, "It's starting to get crowded up there. I worked for American Space Technologies in Palo Alto, California. Ran cranes and lifted their test stands and rocket engines. It was great, 1990 or so. That sounds pretty freaking cool." Let me go down and see if I read your whole message. Yeah, that was the whole thing. Dennis, let's see. Let me know what you need. Let's see. Make sure you, let's see, if you're on Chrome, make sure you're logged into Chrome, just like if you were going to check your Gmail account or something like that. It might make a difference. When you click the link in the at the bench thread at Stunthangar, it should just come right in, and you might have to click an agreement or something. Let me post the link to at the bench. Hang on, let me grab it and copy it, and I'll paste the at the bench thread. Copy and paste. Okay. If you don't have the link to the at the bench thread, I just pasted it in the chat box. So that is where to find the link to come into this show. And of course, it's the newest link. I just posted it at 9:40 tonight. So if you checked before that, it wasn't there. And I always wait till the show starts. So if you haven't done that, check there and click that link, and you should be able to come right in. And if that doesn't work, or if that's not what your problem is, then message me and let me know, and we'll figure it out. We've got 12 people watching us right now. It changes every minute or so. 13, yeah, it's bouncing back and forth. So people are coming and going. But anyway, hopefully we'll get a good crowd out there. I didn't get any flying in this weekend. I mean, this week. I've been limping around again. Go through periods like that. My body's just punishing me for being old, but I'll get over it. Last weekend, I think I did more than I should have, so I've made my right hip angry at me, so I had to back off. I was planning on going flying Tuesday, postponed it, and then Thursday it was pouring rain, and I don't think it would have been a good idea for me to go flying anyway because I wasn't fully recovered. But oh, here comes Sparky. Let me click you in, Sparky.
Yeah.
There we go. Oops, I just clicked the wrong show and broadcast. Okay, there we go. Hey, Sparky, how you doing tonight?
All right. I thought I'd keep you company till somebody comes in.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm usually doing pretty good at finding something to talk about. I was talking about space stuff tonight. There was plenty of that this week, so I kept our YouTubers entertained with that for a while. And so I'm about run out of stuff now. What you got anything for me? You do any more modeling this week?
Yeah, not this week. I'll be doing it tomorrow. I just cut some more stencils, and tomorrow I'll go over and put some more trim on my airplane. I did get I don't know whether I talked about it or not. I did get a new tank and put the lighter pipe in it. I'm back down to 58.5 ounces with all the stuff on it: a fuel line, needle valve, air cleaner. So it's definitely at flying, trim right now, but less to clear. So probably going to come in 62 ounces.
Good.
Nothing I can do about it.
Is it going to be ready to fly this summer, or is it going to be ready for Brodak?
It'll be at Triple Tree.
Oh, well, okay. All right, good. I get to see it then. Yeah, because I'm definitely going to be there.
Either high roller or this one I'll be flying. I don't know. I might fly the old, whatever. I'll fly the one that flies the best.
Yeah.
This is the first year I got 4 airplanes to choose from, so I usually sell them off.
So we got a pretty good crowd out there on YouTube. We got 15 people watching right now. James Faust said Japan blew up that asteroid this week. Say what? Now that's one I hadn't heard. That Japan blew up an asteroid this week. Tell us about it, James. So 13, yes, pound. Uh-oh, somebody's got. No, it's not me.
That was me. I'm trying to get the chat up.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, I have to mute mine now. It didn't used to do it, but it won't let me stop the feed on the YouTube page until after I've started the show, and I had to learn to mute my own speakers when I first started talking before it put the little stop arrow up. But anyway, so hopefully I can get out of the shop and get back to work this weekend. I've been busy all week with other things and didn't get anything productive done with him.
Dennis Animation is trying to link up again, huh?
Say it again.
Dennis Animation is trying to link up again.
Yeah. He just asked for help, and I posted the thread to At the Bench, and oh, here he comes. Okay, Dennis, hang on, and I'll. Oh, you just come right in. No wonder Sparky got in so easy. I don't have my pirate protections on. Let me turn that on right now. My troll protections.
Yeah, gotta keep Helmet Head on his toes.
No kidding. Okay, boom, we're safe now. God, I'm glad I figured that out. Hey, Dennis, how you doing tonight?
Pretty okay. How about yourself?
We're pretty good. Can you lower your camera a little bit? We can only see you from.
Yeah, here we go again. Right? All right.
You do anything fun?
I was trying to keep a chat window open and keep the camera window open, and I kept getting tangled up in the link. So got my Chrome and all that, but I kept going to the wrong links and stuff like that till now. So
it looks like you got it. Good. So did you get out and fly or build anything this week?
Oh, been working on conversion kits and stuff like that. Got a couple of things at maybe I'll show off next week. But let's see. If anybody's interested, I had shown this thing last week, and this is an electric conversion for a Flight Street trainer. And what makes it unique is that the motor mount is soft. I don't know if you can see that or not. But I mounted the motor, basically it's pulled forward on a rubber band, and at least the idea is that on an impact or something like that, it should help disperse some of the loads.
Yeah, boink it.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the Flight Street trainer?
I'm real familiar with the half-A Flight Streak, and I don't know the trainer. Is it a 15 or 10 or 15
it's
size?
Like a 15, 19 size airplane, solid wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically like a big half A. All right.
Yeah.
Solid wing, airfoiled wing, stuff like that. What's nice about it is that because it is a little bit bigger, it'll handle a little more air than a half A will and stuff like that. And because it's solid wing, it's a a little more durable than some of the built
Yeah.
up airplanes.
I've
And
got I've got a plane that Watt Moore gave me still in the box that says flight streak on the front of it, and I thought it was what I always wanted, a full size flight streak, but the decals in it say flight streak trainer, but it's got all the ribs and everything. I hadn't unrolled the blueprints, but I'm pretty sure it's for a. It says on the box it's for a 35 sized engine, so I think it's got the wrong decal in it. I hope so.
yeah, I think so. I think so. The flight streak trainer, you can't mistake. It's got like a 5-inch plank,
Nah.
airfoiled, you know,
Yeah,
and
nah.
or anything like that. So
But I love my half A flight streaks. When I was learning to do stunts and loops, I bought a little jumping bean, and then when it wore out, I bought a baby flight streak, and that was the first time in my flying life. It always been half A. It was the first time that I ever really felt like I was flying a real airplane, and it really goes where you point it. And I got a TDO 51 on one of them and a Big Mig 061 on the other. Bob Zambelli was out there at the field with us one day, and he commented that was the best flying streak he'd ever seen. So yeah, I'll take that as a compliment from Bob.
Yeah.
Where is Terry? Jack Snavely says Terry is a great modeler and intellectual, but he just hung up on the flat Earth, I think, but is very interesting on modeling subjects.
Yeah, he is a good, smart modeler. He was. I was talking about all the space stuff that went on this week in my introduction. Terry came in and posted a link to some $10,000 prize to anybody that could prove the Earth is round. He's a flat Earth believer. So I that's where that was the only post he made, and so people that don't know him are just asking who it was. But he's one of our visitors. He comes in the chat box often, but not on the video much anymore.
Well, I can't prove it, but I know that it's round just from being on the ocean in a ship. If you sail off that direction forever, you're coming back this way. So unless
there's too many things that just wouldn't work if the Earth wasn't like we know it is, so.
I don't know. Any of you guys have cats?
I do. Got two of them.
I've heard the best proof of that the Earth isn't flat. If the Earth was flat, cats would have pushed everything off of the edge by now. All right.
Okay, there we go. $10,000 goes to Dennis.
Yeah. Anybody who has a cat, I think, would understand what I'm talking about. But anyhow.
Yeah, my friend's got a pit bull that can sweep a whole coffee table off with his tail.
Yeah. That's it. That too. All right.
But anyway, yeah, it was a great space week. It had three big stories. The supermassive black hole, and I think they also got a good picture of our own Sagittarius now, but don't have as good of a view of it. We're looking straight through the elliptic plane of the galaxy, so it's obscured, and so looking at one in another galaxy is actually easier. And then the SpaceX launch yesterday was just a masterpiece. And then these Israelis gave it a good go yesterday, but couldn't quite park it on the moon. I think the engines and the trajectory got all fouled up at the last minute, and it just kind of splattered. So they didn't quite pull it out.
Can anybody tell me what kind of modeling tool this is?
Let me click on you so I can get a better view of it there. And turn it sideways or more or less. I can't tell. No, I can't tell you what that is from here.
This is a modeling tool, but it ain't the modeling tool you think it is. This is called an articulator. And your top teeth dentures go on the top and the bottoms go on the bottom. Here's the teeth right here. this whole this setup cost me, I don't know, $20 so far. I'm getting ready to cast a new set of teeth.
All right.
So that's my next modeling project, is teeth casting.
All right.
You get, you know, they charge ridiculous prices for this shit. And here's the teeth right here.
Yeah. Okay.
I got 20 sets of teeth. So let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12 sets of teeth. So I can screw up. I got 12 tries to make a new lower. Yeah. I was showing you the other day, Dennis. You recognized it. Did you recognize it as the original? Dennis.
Yes, sir.
Did you recognize it as the original?
Recognize what is the original? I'm sorry.
The muffler that I held up and you said I recognize.
Yeah. That was, I was going to swag. Was that for a Tiger 46?
60. Well, 46, 60, same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. But, yeah, Dad, I think, was the only one who ever made the fin mufflers. So,
well, it had the holes in it. It was before he started, you know, the tube.
Yep.
Without the holes in it. I guess they welded them on or whatever. These have, you put your ball driver in there, it's got a screw and it holds it together.
Yeah, aluminum welding can be a real problem. For a while, he had a guy that was doing some really beautiful work for him. But yeah, before that, early on and stuff, he had a lot where the tubes were bolted together, and
this one,
you know, with the extra hole and stuff. But yeah,
if you look right here,
yeah, there we go. He used to machine the tubes. He started with a thick wall tube, and he used to cut the fins into it. And then later on, he was actually able to get some extrusions made, where he extruded. He bought a specialty extrusion where he could extrude that tube with the fins on it. And then somewhere along the way, the fin or tube mufflers in general kind of fell out of favor. You know, they're heavier and stuff like that. I think they sound better. I think they run better, but it's splitting hairs. You know, of course, the real chip mufflers were lighter and easier to make and all that kind of stuff. So that's what everybody was buying. So
my Junior XL has a Randy Smith tube muffler on it. It's about that size, but it's lighter and it's one piece. I think Scott Dinger made it, but I don't know who's making it for Randy. And it's a real good muffler. And that's the only reason why I'm not running your dad's, is that, you know, I will take the lightest part over the heavy part.
Yeah, I sort of noticed that. So
this is a $90 Casminato carbon fiber rear exhaust muffler, and it's all right, but it doesn't have the control that the pipe does. So,
how much weight do you save with that?
Pardon me?
How much weight did you save with a carbon fiber instead of an aluminum tube?
Well, this thing here, it only weighs probably 1.5 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know I got a scale here somewhere. Oh, there it is. The pipe is heavier, but the pipe gives more power and more engine control than the muffler. So, 1 3/4 ounces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, do you know what the aluminum one weighed? Well, more, I'm sure, but.
What, your dad's or the aluminum?
Gas muffler and aluminum, what would that weigh?
3 ounces.
About 3? Okay.
Yeah. I changed out my fuel tank to the carbon CAS carbon tank, and I switched from the old style muffler that Billy made, or the old style tuned pipe that Billy made, to the new style muffler on this, and so it cost me $200 to save an ounce. $190 to save 1 ounce.
Oh boy. Now, if you put an ounce of lead back in the front to bounce it again, you're gonna feel really silly. So
I got the $50 unobtainium Meslick spinner on there.
uh-huh.
And if I could get a wooden propeller and lose an ounce on the prop, I would do that too. And you know, I got 1 pint of clear dope that I can paint on this thing. So I'm at 58 ounces now. I have to be less than 62 to balance. It's still nose heavy. So you got to stop painting when it balances. So
I don't know. I usually stop painting when I was never in a position to have the luxury, you know, to get enough paint on to get a finish. I was always too heavy and always scrimped on the clear coat because of that, which of course meant I scrimped on a finish. You know, and that was, you know, using dope. So, you know, you had to build up layers of dope if you wanted to get any kind of a knee deep shine or anything like that. So
TV or radio in your background?
I'm sorry?
I don't know, it sounded like static. TV or radio somebody had on?
Let's see. Not me. Let me just make sure.
Me.
I heard it too, Sparky. I don't know what it was. I thought it sounded like a printer or something.
I thought I had everything turned off in the back.
Yeah, I think you do. We get all kind of weird noises in here some nights, and sometimes I think it's for lack of a better term. I used to call it co-channeling back in my two-way radio days. But I think we get crossover from other video chat feeds that are going on. But it seems pretty quiet tonight. We just had a noisy glitch come in while you and Sparky were talking a minute ago.
I don't know what it was. I heard it too, but yeah, it's quiet here. My furnace just kicked on, but I mean, I can barely hear it running.
Yeah, no, we got a pretty good feed tonight.
So anyhow, as far as you just test flew a new Continental XL, was it?
No, June RXL. I did that in Huntersville.
Yeah, okay.
And, it flew pretty good, but I could tell that it needed something. You know, it pushed. I have a hard time explaining what airplanes do. I can feel certain things in an airplane that I can't explain. The airplane, when it turns, doesn't turn like that. It kind of mushes through, and that's because it needed more leverage. So the first June R was 16-inch tail moment. The second June R was 17-inch tail moment, and this one here is 18-inch tail moment. So we're going to get that tail to spin around there a little faster, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know. I can see an argument for going in both directions. It seems like a stab with a short couple length behind it would snap faster. You know, think of combat planes that are almost like flying wings, and they turn on a dime.
This is true, but now think about this. It has a 6-ounce engine on the leading edge. I have a 14 or a 13-ounce engine 10 inches out away from the leading edge.
Yeah.
I was going to say the other thing, even on the combat planes, if you take a look, even the old Voodoos and stuff like that, one of the late mods on it is everybody was lengthening the tail booms.
Right.
And same with, I think, Howard Rush and the Nemesis, I think it was. I think the last editions of that, they kept pushing the tails back. They were trying to get something more out of it.
Even the Super Satan, Larry Scarinzi was toying with the length of the booms on that.
Yeah, yeah. So I hear what you're saying, though. I mean, the combat planes certainly are short and stuff like that, but you know, like Sparky said, they've got very short noses and very low, because the nose is so short. There's not a lot of
the engine's right there on the lead edge.
It's not out on a moment arm or anything like that. And even with a combat plane, you know, we're always drawing the balance between how fast will it turn and do you actually know what direction it went? You know, you still got to be able to point it at your target and stuff like that, even flying combat. So,
You know, in my understanding, I think these moment arms are calculated wrong. They say, well, we have a 10-inch nose moment and an 18-inch tail moment. Well, that's not correct. The moment should be from the center of gravity to the back of the spinner, and from the center of gravity to the trailing edge of the stabilizer. So instead of 18-inch tail moment, mine is 1822, and the nose moment is 13.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I think you're on that. The hinge line measurement to me doesn't mean a thing. It doesn't have any basis in any aerodynamic reality or anything like that. You know, you should be talking about things like the CG, like the aerodynamic centers, if nothing else. Because of the geometry, you can work to the aerodynamic centers of the wing and the stab and all that kind of stuff. And then the CG usually talked about in the context of where it is relative to the aerodynamic center of the wing. And so it's like you say, measuring from the CG and stuff, that's a heck of a lot closer to right than measuring from, say, the leading edge and stuff. When I started doing my high aspect ratio airplanes, I got a lesson in that. The first one I made, I just set up the nose and tail the way I always did. But the wing was only 11 inches wide when it used to be 13 and a half. So the overall fuselage was 2.5 inches too short. All right. And when I did the later ones, I came onto that, and I basically went back to the long fuselage and just put the wing where I thought it should be and the tail where I thought it should be. And my nose moment went to like 11 inches instead of 9. And, the tail moment was, whatever it was. And then I threw myself another wild card. I usually sweep the hinge line forward. So where, if I'm measuring hinge line to hinge line, where do I measure it? In the middle of the wing, the MAC, and things like that. It's like the hinge line measurement to me it's nice if you're comparing if you're comparing two otherwise identical airplanes, but
when you move this week,
I just don't lose a lot of sleep on it.
Move the center of pressure forward so you can run it farther nose heavy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, if you really want to, where you are with the CG and stuff certainly matters. But then if you move the CG and stuff, then your moments, in effect, your moments are changing and stuff like that. But it's really just from a sanity standpoint, you're really better off working to the aerodynamic centers of everything. And so that'd be like the quarter of the mean air, 25% back on the mean aerodynamic chord, mean geometric typically. It's what people use.
Rusty, what did you just see?
What did I just do? I let Pat's Place show his post. He posted something with little pictures of airplanes in the chat box, and I got a message to confirm or deny him to post it. I know him, so I let it show.
I saw that too, and then it was gone. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at any rate, looks like Pat's flying a lot there. So
yeah, Pat is primarily a static modeler, although not completely. He I think does models like we do too, but his big love is plastic static models, and he showed me some cars that he did. So I think a couple of Ferraris and some other stuff, and they're just gorgeous. You could not tell if he put it in the right setting. You couldn't tell from a photograph that it's not a real car.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Your control system, are you at 1-to-1, or do you have an adjustable so you can get more elevator travel to flaps?
I always put an adjustable horn in it.
Oh, it does have an adjustable horn?
Yeah.
It didn't help on your other one if you gave it more elevator, if that made any difference at all, or?
what most people don't grasp is you can't engineer out the concentrated weight. I don't care what Brett Buck says. I can feel the concentrated weight. It's all right there in the nose, and it's as far out as it can get on the end of the shovel. It's real simple. Take an ounce or a pound of dirt in the shovel and grab it 10 inches back from the spade and pick it up, or back at the end of the handle. Which one's going to turn harder? And it's all that concentrated weight in the nose. So that ain't not the answer. You got to leverage it somehow. Just like the electric airplanes, I can feel that brick in them.
I got a question on YouTube for
I'm trying
Dennis.
to hear you, Sparky. So.
I got a question for you, Dennis. This is from JP on YouTube. He says, what high aspect ship flew the best? Which would you build right now? Eclipse, Gemini, any big Jim stuff?
Let's see. Start with the last. The big Jim stuff. The only ones I saw were his LJs and MJs and whatever else. And I recall those all featured like 30% wide flaps, and I was just never on that page. All right. Let's see. Gemini was my nephew's airplane, and that was about a 6-to-1 aspect ratio, as I recall. Flew very well. The Eclipse was mine. That was a 7-to-1. And that's still in my mind the best of the bunch. My favorite of the bunch, certainly. The airplane I'm flying right now, the Mythbuster. It's actually several years old now, but it's got the same wing plan form as the Eclipse: 7-to-1, 11-inch root, 7-inch tip. Let's see, 1.5-inch taper and a leading edge. 2.5 in back. It's a very good package for maneuverability and wind penetration and stuff like that. I think it's flying better as electric than it did as gas, even because I've got the power is stronger and a bit more balanced than it was before and stuff like that. Balanced meaning upwind, downwind, and everything like that. So yeah, I'm definitely on board. I don't have all the numbers here in front of me and everything like that, but I know I was doing numbers here a while back, and I was able to prove that the higher aspect ratio airplanes use less power. All right, and it doesn't matter if it's gas or electric or anything. Higher aspect ratio uses less power, and I was able to prove that. Yeah, the pink one, the Mythbuster. AP, have you seen that one?
Yeah, apparently he has, I think, but
I'm guessing,
yeah. Like Mythbuster, I've never heard of that. Hey, Mike.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, you'd have to dig deep in the forum listings and stuff, but yeah, there's pictures of it there and stuff. I suppose I call up some pictures here again, but it's a real fun to fly airplane. I really enjoy it, but it really, I think, really exploits what I was talking about with the long fuselage, and you can see that the long fuselage and a long skinny wing. It just everything on it looks like it's way out there, but reality-wise, I'll bet I could set it on top of Sparky's airplane, and you'd find the engine or the prop is in the same spot, the tail's in the same spot, but I'd have this skinny little wing in the middle that it'd be balanced, if you will. The area would be probably the high point of the wing would be about the same spot as his, but everything's just long and skinny, and I don't know. I told Bob Hunt this. I said when I built my first Eclipse, I told him it was a Genesis that was raised on health food, and I think he got out of that. But and he said something about it being anorexic or something like that. But whatever.
Well, I tend to trend towards Billy's way of designing after reading Bob Galdini's barbell effect. And so I'm not going to span things that way out from the center of gravity. But in order to do Billy's, fly Billy's airplanes, they have to be light because the wings aren't very thick. There was a guy talking about the Pattern Master that had a 3-inch thick wing.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing's like a baseball bat.
Yeah.
JP had one follow-up question. He says, what about the little yellow guy? You know what he's talking about?
I'm not sure. You mean the one I was flying a couple of years ago, the Ricky Tikki Tavi?
Yeah, that was probably it.
Yeah. Well, that one is a 6-to-1, and that is also turned out at 38 ounces. So it is the lowest power stunt plane I have. I've flown on as little as 1100 milliamps. I've gotten a pattern out of it. 1100 milliamps. I meant I was using 50% of my battery. And the combination there, 6-to-1 aspect ratio works, and the lightweight, of course, works. It definitely pays off.
Yeah, JP followed up. Yeah, that was the one he was asking about.
Yeah, that one was only 520 square inches, so it's a tiny airplane. And again, that was something, believe it or not, that started off as a Cobra short kit. And I completely rearranged everything. I basically used the short kit as a box of balsa and reconfigured it to fit my own needs. So
I want to thank you, Mike. I got the magazine today, but unfortunately, I can't use it.
Oh, okay. Well, enjoy reading the old articles then.
I looked at all the old prices. That's what really got me.
Bring back some memories.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
What are you bagging up there?
The tail on the silver SV22. I finally pulled the engine out of it and pulling the gear off, and I'm just bagging everything up and hanging it back up till I decide to try to fix it. Well, what really motivated me to do that was I had to pull the tank out of it yesterday. I went flying Wednesday, had beautiful weather, took the yellow SV with the 61 out. And Sam, can you stop drilling for a second? Just for a minute. The longest flight I could get, it was cutting off on me at 5 minutes and 20 seconds every time. And I mean, I wasn't even starting to watch till the engine started, and 520 was the best I could get out of it. It was in the overhead 8s. It was cutting off every time. It did that on the first 2 flights, so I decided to measure the fuel that was going in. That tank that was in the yellow one was only 6 ounces.
Well, there is an alternative if you can't get a big enough tank, and that's one of these. It's the pylon clunk tank, but this is the squishy tank, the soft tank.
Okay.
And you just
put that in there.
Yeah, force it down in there. It's just a little tight. That's what I was going to use, but they're 2.5 ounces.
Okay.
Which is pretty comparable to a metal tank. It might even be lighter, but you got a pencil. This is 8 ounces.
Okay.
See let me get the part number for you. RST 8-8.
And that's a Sullivan?
What?
That's a Sullivan flex tank?
Pylon.
Pylon.
Well,
Yeah, it's made by Sullivan.
Yeah, it is Sullivan. Sullivan seamless. But if you set it up Uniflow, it'll work perfect.
Okay. Well, I've got an option here. So the tank that was in it measured 6.5 inches by 2 inches by 1 inch.
So that means it's 6.5 ounces.
Well, it's not. Listen, man, I've measured fuel into this thing like 10 times with using rubbing alcohol in here and my syringe. At 6 ounces, it starts coming out of the overflow. Mm-hmm. And there ain't room in there.
Because of the vent. Somebody's poked the vent down in deep, and the fuel hits it, comes out.
The vent is too deep. Okay. Because no matter which way I oriented that tank, I tried it a bunch of different ways thinking, okay, it's hitting the vent tube and that's why it's coming out. But 6 ounces is the most I can get in that tank. I can't get another drop. I mean, I tried and tried and tried, and I measured and measured and measured, and it just won't do it. So the other tank that was in the silver SV, it's bigger than that because it's 6.5 by 2, but I think it's 1.5 inches tall.
What's your lap times you're running on that?
Oh, they were like right around 5.2, 5.3, somewhere in there.
Yeah, shouldn't that only take like 5 minutes a little over 5 minutes to finish the pattern?
PA's burn an ounce of fuel per minute. So if he's running 6 minutes, he's running 6 ounces. You know, you got to give yourself a little bit of time to tune it and walk out to the handle and so on and so forth.
Right. I mean, I can't get any more than 5 minutes, 20 seconds out of it. That's all it's doing.
Yeah.
I put up 6 flights, and they were all 518, 520, 522. I had to watch on every one of them, and that was with me starting the watch once the engine started. I didn't start the watch and then try to start it. The engine would start, and I hit the stopwatch.
Now, wait a minute. Here's something else to think about. Who did that motor come from?
Alan Perrette.
Alan Perrette. You might want to ask him what size Venturi he's got in it. He might have a number 4 or, you know, big old Venturi in it to make power. And you could go down to a number 8 or 9.
Okay, well, I'll have to measure it. I can't ask him because he died a few months ago.
Oh, okay. Just take a number drill bit size and stick down in it.
Okay, I didn't even think about that. I didn't know you changed Venturis on PAs. I thought they were just, you know.
Randy's got a full set of Venturis. Like on my Thunderbolts, I ran number 1s, number 2s, and they make big power, but you got to have 8 to 10 ounces of fuel.
Okay, well, okay, that makes sense. That'll steer me in the right direction anyway. I can measure the Venturi.
I think the stock Venturi is an 8, and it, you know, anymore, that's all I monkey with because I burn up a couple motors trying to make big power. And so anything I get from Randy, I just leave stock. But I think they're number 8.
Okay.
Worth it check it anyway.
Yeah, no, that's good info. I mean, I've already taken the tank out of both airplanes, and the bigger tank is gonna fit. It's gonna be fine. I can get it in there, so it shouldn't be a problem. Even if.
So how would you like how the airplane flew though?
Oh, great! It flew great. I loved it, man.
The silver one?
No, the yellow one. The silver one's dead, man.
Yeah, I know. Does which one flew the best?
Oh,
you know,
the yellow one. The yellow one for sure. Yeah, it's exactly 4 pounds. It's 64 ounces all up. So I was real happy with it. I was happy with the way it flew. Now, if I can just get another minute of runtime on it, I'll be able to bring it to Huntersville.
And you can run 15,000 lines on it also at 64. As long as you don't go over 64.
Okay.
You can run
I think when it hits 64, you got to run 18,000.
Okay, so it's got to be 63.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I shoot for 62, so there's no ambiguity about it. Say, hey, you're 64. No, I'm not. Get your thumb off the scale. You know?
Okay. Well, I called Derek that day when I was coming home from flying, and he said 6 ounces was pushing it with a 61, you know. That needed at least 6.5, you know, and 7 just to have a cushion.
That's a brand new motor though too, isn't it?
Yeah.
You'll find out once that's really broke in, it'll use less fuel.
Okay.
What percentage nitro are you using?
I was running 10.
Yeah, go down to 5. That'll give you another 30 seconds. And if you need more than 30 seconds, add a little Coleman fuel to your fuel, and that will give you another 30 seconds.
Well, I don't want to be doing a bunch of Band-Aids. I'd rather just have a tank that gives me enough leeway to get it done, you know? I mean,
5% nitro is plenty. I mean,
yeah.
The only time you need 10% is when the temperature is up, you know, over 100 or 100 degrees.
Okay.
Temperature.
Yeah, but I need to make up almost a full minute, you know, so I think a bigger tank is the way to go. But I'll look into the Venturi deal too. That's I'll measure it, and then I'll give Randy a call and see what he has to say about it.
I've never tried, but I've seen Tim Westcott recommending a bunch of times to add a little bit of Coleman fuel to a gallon of gas, and it'll significantly improve your mileage, like a half ounce to a gallon or an ounce, maybe. I can't remember.
Well, Bob Kiske, when he was a nitro freak, he run 25% nitro. For what reason, I don't know. But I would see him at the Nats go down to the Walmart or wherever and get a can of Coleman fuel and put about 3 ounces in a gallon, you know,
Good
so he can get time.
Right? That would scare the hell out of me because nitro does not mix with gasoline.
No,
JP,
Coleman.
No, the Coleman fuel will stretch it out. I don't think you'll get a minute, but you can get it. You can get a little bit out of it anyway.
Coleman,
I'd go for the Venturi fix first. I
I
definitely
can
go there first, and then maybe a combination of that would get you where you want to be.
Coleman is just
I could have a base, you know, a bearing on your run time. Too short, you're making too much power, using too much fuel. I don't know what pipe length you have.
Well, my truck out there is filled with Coleman fuel. Every time I go to the gas station, I fill it up with Coleman fuel. It's just no lead. It's all Coleman fuel. They call it white gas. White gas is just non-leaded gasoline.
Doesn't smell like gasoline.
No, it's not the same.
Yeah, when you take the lead out of it, it smells different than when you're thinking of how old gas smells. My Coleman stuff I run now, I run on no lead gasoline. I just put it in there, it runs fine because that's all it is. It's just white gas.
Because Coleman changed all their devices about 15 years ago to run either on Coleman fuel or unleaded gas. But they are two different fuels, Steve. Coleman changed their lineup. They made a burner and a
yeah, I know it, but I bet you mine's 35 years old.
I think the fuel that they're pouring in is denatured alcohol.
No, it's white gas.
Jack Snaverly says Coleman is naphtha 38 to 40.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, but it ain't unleaded fuel.
Naphtha is lighter fluid.
Hey, Mike, I got one ultimate solution for you, and Russ, you might want to dial in.
What is Coleman fuel made of?
If you want to put the close up on that.
You're funny.
That is an electric motor, obviously, and it's in a 3D printed motor mount. This is basically an LA-46.
That's awesome, man.
Same mount and everything like that. The problem is that it's wider than the LA-46, so you have to really hack and whack on the mounts and stuff to get it in there. But the idea was you're trying to work on an idea that, you know, the easiest way, if you would, to try to convert a glow airplane to a nitro engine. Works okay in the smaller ones, and you get up the bigger ones and stuff, you just get to a place where you just can't fit it between the mounts without hacking on the mounts. But you can get there.
Yeah, well, I just got into piped engines, man. I'm not quitting and giving up that easy. And
yeah, okay. Well, I got you flying an electric combat plane here a couple of years ago. I thought maybe I could push over the edge here too. So.
Hey, let me ask you guys a question. That you guys that fly the big piped birds, when I go to the contest, is the only place I actually see those, and they always leave a really cool looking thick trail of smoke, and my planes never leave a cool thick trail of smoke. Do some of those? I mean, it's so much smoke that I swear I wonder if some of those guys are putting display smoke, I don't know what you call it, but in their fuel. Do you have any idea? Or are they just using a lot of oil? Or does synthetic make a stronger smoke trail than castor?
They have Randy's mystery snake oil in them, you know?
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, some type of extra lubricant. You know, is that an ounce to a gallon? But if you're running 20% oil, 10% castor, 10% clots, they leave a nice smoke trail behind, and plus you're refining it all in that pipe. You know, it's coming out a little tiny hole instead of a great big exhaust.
Yeah, and the engines are that much bigger than mine too. I'm running 40.
Yeah, and then also that smoke is coming out almost 2 feet behind the propeller, so it doesn't get dissipated. You know,
yeah, sure.
I think that, but you're right. It's like you send one of those guys out in the morning, and it's like they're like mosquito fogging the field or something like that. You know?
I always think that's so cool. I want my plane to smoke like that.
Yeah, that's it. I don't. When mine smoke, it's really bad. So,
yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, I've never been able to get the smoke back in. So
No, I can't put it back in. That's the first rule of electronics. Can't put smoke back in.
yeah, the magic smoke only goes one way. Oh well.
Oh, it says here that with the Coleman fuel that they changed it to cylohexane, no name, octane, heptane, and pentane because they wanted it a low benzene content, which is a human carcinogen. But it has the same
50 to 55 octane.
huh?
It says 50 to 55 octane.
Yep.
Colorability similar to gasoline. It has none of the additives found in a modern gasoline. Most burners will readily burn unleaded gasoline or white gas, however. It's chiohexene, nonane, octane, heptane, pentane, whatever.
Right. Yeah, I knew there was no naphtha in there. You know, but naphtha. Oh, that's lighter fluid.
I had heard that it was naphtha before too, but I knew that Roncinol lighter fluid was naphtha, and that it doesn't resemble Coleman fuel, so I was confused. I figured it was just a refinement amount.
You can use lighter fluid to get your engine started on a cold day.
Yeah. You can set your plane on fire doing that too. I always watched Indy fly one time, and he always used lighter fluid before he cranked it, even on a hot engine. At least the outings I saw. I'm not saying he did that everywhere all the time, but the videos I've watched of him flying, I was using lighter fluid.
Yeah, I want to. You know what though? I'm going to get some Coleman fuel and see if I can add how much nitro I can add to it. Because if it'll actually add to that, my friends that are flying these gasoline powered motors for RC, that would really give them a lot more power.
Gotta have oil in it.
According to JP, you're diluting it when you put Coleman fuel into the regular fuel mix, but that's not the same fuel we're talking about, I guess. JP was talking about putting it in glow fuel.
You know, like nitro burning funny cars, they all run alcohol because you cannot mix nitromethane with gasoline.
Yeah.
It won't mix, and it causes big problems. So if it mixes with Coleman fuel and it has, you know, the same octane rating and stuff like that, if that will actually mix, then you would be able to use it in an ignition motor that are out now, and it'll work. You know, just add your oil and everything else like you normally do. That would be a thought, you know, if that way you're tight, because you can't adjust timing and stuff on these little airplane motors.
My dad and his speed planes used to run white gas. This is back in ignition engine days. White gas, benzene, propylene oxide, and 30 weight oil.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was always a deal that nitromethane wouldn't mix with gasoline or white gas. So, but
that propylene oxide will use your power.
If that'll work, you can get a little bit more out of it. Because these guys are running 50cc gas engines and stuff, and more oomph.
Talk to Danny. He's the chemist.
Who's a chemist?
Danny.
No. Dennis isn't a chemist.
What's that? No, I'm not a chemist.
My son's a chemist, but he's not here. He'd break out into a lecture if he was.
Ask him once when you talk again if nitro should mix with the Coleman fuel.
Okay.
Because it really help these guys that, you know, because they're the same thing as weight over wing area.
Yeah.
And they put-
And he does tell me, when I've told him that we generally like to mix our fuel by volume instead of weight, he tells me that that's really not the optimum way a chemist mixes chemicals, that they do it by weight rather than volume.
Right.
I think weights is chemical weight measured in molar quantities. I'm not sure, but anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
How we did it, how our chemists they did it at Guardsman was they figured it out in weight and then changed the weight over into volume. So if you needed so many, ounces of whatever, then that was with the gravity, that was then changed to ounces in volume. Because water you can do either way. Water you can weigh it, or you can pour it as a volume, and they're the bulk. That's where an ounce comes from. Ounce volume, ounce of weight is from water. But everything else has a specific gravity, so that changes. Nitro is really heavy. If you put in 1 ounce of that, it's a whole lot less in in a volume rate.
I got a message on YouTube for Mike Leinke. You there, Mike?
No, he's turned off.
I thought I could see him in the background, but that's not him. I'll catch him when he comes back.
I think that is him, but yeah, he's back there.
Oh,
But
he's got his mic muted. So.
Well, guys, I'm gonna hit it. I gotta go over to John's tomorrow. Work on airplanes.
Okay, Sparky, thanks for coming in and helping me hold it together before we had our crowd in here.
Are you gonna clear tomorrow, or?
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I thought I'd get farther than I did last weekend. I just ended up fixing mistakes, screw up. So, but it's ready to put the trim on it now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say on your last airplane, Dennis told me on the Vector to put the push rod into the top hole along with my flaps and then go. So for Samantha, getting her more tail. And it was a huge difference. And I let everybody fly Samantha's airplane at the field, and they got Vectors out there. And it's hard to believe how much faster and better that her electric airplane turns than these other ones.
You could have done the same thing in design like I do and less flap. You can take a razor knife and cut a 1/4 inch off the flap and they'll do just the same thing.
Oh yeah, you can get more tail out of it that way, but
see, the way I build it is calculated, how much my flaps are not big. Dennis was talking 30% flaps or whatever. That's ridiculous.
Mm.
That's a big flap.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever seen pictures of Wendy's Sweeper 900?
Oh, yeah.
That was an LJ design. And that flaps on that were, I'm thinking they were like 5 inches wide.
I've seen that plane in real life. I think it's down at Triple Tree now. Bob Zambelli had one of those sweepers hanging on the wall.
He had the Sweeper 1600, the big jet thing. That thing was, that was obscene from another thing. But the other LJ airplanes had really, really wide flaps. And the thing that also got me on it, I could see trying the wide flap if you also went to like a very limited throw, like maybe 10 degrees flap and 30 degrees elevator or something like that. And the wide flap might get you something on that. But they were trying to turn them 1-to-1, and it's just wow, that's just a lot of control effort.
The airplane had to be heavy. So the heavier the airplane, the more flap you need. So if the airplane's light, my flaps are
this is beyond even what you normally see. People were trying to respond to weight or something. I mean, these are just they were like that on purpose, and not because they're heavy. That MiG that Windy built, I don't know if you ever saw that. That was like a 900 square inch airplane that weighed something like 64 ounces. And it was a big old kite, and it actually didn't even last the season. Structurally, he had some issues on it. He basically wore the airplane out in less than a season because he had a mismatch. He had like carbon fiber built onto 5-pound balsa, and basically the carbon fiber ate the balsa up, and things like that. You know, the carbon fiber had absolutely no give to it. So any of those stresses were all basically pounded the balsa to death, and so it just didn't work right. And later on, obviously, Windy is a heck of a builder, and he got it all figured out in time and stuff. But yeah, the really, really, really wide flaps and stuff. I'm just I don't know. I'll sit on the sideline on that one and watch. So
flaps on this airplane are 2.5 inches wide at the root.
Yep. Yeah, I'm more inclined to make them small than big. Yeah. And I also like a short span. I like cutting them off on the end too.
What does that do?
Keeps them from fluttering, for one thing.
Well, the way it was explained to me, and I've been told this is crazy, but I think I think that's wrong. When the airplane going through the air and everything like that, it's always shedding a vortex off the wingtip. All right, as a function of creating lift, you have this high energy tornado, if you will, coming off each wingtip. If you put a control surface in that, like the tip of the flap is in that, like a lot of people do, whenever that you try to move that flap, it's trying to move that whole tornado. All right. Now, if you just take the flaps and you cut them off about 4 or 5 inches, it's a night and day difference in the control effort that the amount, how hard you pull on the handle, if you will. The hinge moment goes way down. As a result, the corners get a lot tighter. All right. And it isn't because you're creating more lift. It's because you're overcoming less, you're not trying to move that tornado, that vortex of air off.
That makes sense. That makes good sense. Yeah. There's a lot of things that would benefit from making a modification there, like my twister, with that big wing with the flap that goes all the way out to the tip.
If you take the twister and cut 4 inches off it, you'll be shocked at the effect it has on your square corners.
I got 2 airplanes over there with the tip flap cut off. This one has full span flaps. I'll let you know the difference. But the flaps on this are the pocket hinges, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But you're new one.
I've tried it several times, and it works like it's one of the Bob Gialdini things. He put that in his Olympic Mark VI article back in '64, and it's one of the sidebars on that article that says if you want tighter corners, clip the flaps, and didn't really say why or anything like that. And in fact, I've been told the whole vortex idea is wrong. Well, I don't know. I don't think it's wrong. I haven't heard a better idea. Let's put it that way.
It's less flap area.
Well, and the only trouble, you mentioned narrowing the flaps and stuff. That will work, but that also reduces wing area. And I know how important wing loading is to you.
Well, I got 11.5
a 60-inch wing.
It's 11.5-inch cord without the flaps.
Mm-hmm.
It's 11.5-inch cord without the flaps. It's 13.5 with the flaps. So I didn't lose anything there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but if you cut a 1/4 inch off the flap, then it'll only be 13 1/4, or what instead of 13.5.
It's designed that way right now. It's a 13.5-inch total cord with a 2.5-inch flap.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it works. And Rusty, if you want that twister to turn tighter, that's your fastest way to get there.
All right, guys, I'm out of here.
All right, take it.
It's been real. It's been fun. See you later.
It's been real fun. See ya.
Take care.
In fact, I've got a Cardinal wing is the next thing to build on it, and I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure that flap goes out to the tip too. So I'll make
Cardinal does, yeah. It's a very
a
wide flap too.
opportunity to make a modification on that. So you think
I still
three,
have my
3 or
Cavalier.
4 inches? Take it in 3 or 4 inches from the tip.
Yeah, I go, around 5. I usually just find a rib, cut it basically even with a rib,
Yeah.
around
Right.
5 inches, give or take. And something like the Cardinals got really wide flaps. If you go a little more on that, it's not going to hurt anything, I don't think.
Yeah. I bet
But
I'll
really,
make that mod.
the effect, you get about 4, 5, 6 inches or so off the tip. You're definitely, in a good place.
Yeah. That sounds good. I'm glad we talked about this because I think I will make that mud.
Well, I got a Cavalier that I haven't flown yet. It's ready for paint.
Wayne's Cavaliers fly really well. His are profiles. If you got a full fuse or a profile.
That thing has like 6 inches, 7 inches before you get to the flap. It's kind of like Brodak's Warbirds.
Yeah. Is that the profile or full fuselage?
Profile.
It is profile. Okay.
Yeah, and I heard they turn so well.
Is it one of Tom Morris's planes?
Yeah, it was a Tom Morris kit.
Yeah, that's what Wayne flies. Oh,
Yeah.
Steve McBride's oh no, that's Ruben McBride's posting. Most of Wendy's design had full flaps to the wingtip. Yeah, and the Cardinal is one of Wendy's too. So.
Yeah, that was part of Wendy's trademarks, if you will, or one of his signature moves. There, he used to run the flaps right out to the end of the wing, and never talked him out of it. Whatever. It's a easy way to build. I mean, you don't have to worry about that funny little joint and all those end caps and everything like that. It's not bad from that standpoint. I'm just saying that if you shorten it, it will reduce your handle load and result in it's making it easier to turn a really nice corner.
Yeah, reducing the handle load is a big thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you weren't here Monday, Dennis. I flew Samantha's Vector, electric Vector. To me, it was uncontrollable. It was so touchy. It took no force on the handle at all. And that's what we were comparing that one to the other Vectors. And they did have full flaps. They were made and they did full flaps on them. And the guys that flew it said, "Oh my God, does this thing turn? You got to be careful with it. But it'll turn so sharp you can stall it. It'll do a loop about that big around."
Yeah.
Either way, I mean, it's like, oh my God, I've never seen anything that turns so sharp. But only thing I was thinking of is we did it like you said when we put it's no longer 1-to-1. I don't know what it would be when you do it that way, but that thing really, really turns.
Well, the cool thing is, Steve, if if the horns are the same size of both places, you double up that at the flap horn, put them off the same hole, and then you just put it on a tall hole on the elevator. You can still get back to 1-to-1, but you get a nice mechanical advantage there because the longer flap horn, longer elevator horn just gives you a better just a better lever arm to turn the surface. But the bigger payoff is that it takes the load off the push rod, and all your ball joints and everything like that aren't working as hard, and they're less likely to fail on you. So,
and that might be why, while doing, both of them things, it's like, there's no force in that handle. I couldn't believe how easy, there was pull, but to change directions, there was no, you couldn't feel any force on your trying to turn the airplane. It was crazy. And, I couldn't even fly it. I mean, it was a deal to where I just flew it out straight level, and it's like, I'll crash this thing because just thinking about it, the thing turned or moved or whatever.
I got a YouTube update. Got let's see, Gary Sinclair says, Mike, hey Mike, I'm still waiting.
Sam, go get me a big piece of paper.
I told Gary I was going to send him a bunch of my pictures too, so we can fill it out with. I got lots of cool pictures too, so we'll fill it out with mine if nobody else can get him pictures.
You say colonoscopy pictures?
He'll take them, yeah, but he probably won't put them in the calendar.
Oh, okay.
Put a warning on the
small favor.
Put a warning on the outside of the package so he doesn't have to open it to find out that's what it is. Okay. And next one is JP wants to know if anybody's using Igor's horn system.
I am not.
I didn't know.
I heard Walker was using it. I'm not sure anybody else. What do you know, Steve? Anybody else that you know of?
Got it, Mike. Picks for Gary today.
I'm going to tape this on the refrigerator so I see it first thing in the morning.
Okay.
I promise he'll have them tomorrow. I wrote myself a note.
I forgot.
You'll have a shitload of them for me tomorrow, Gary, too. And let me stick a note to my computer here.
What is the Igor system? I don't know what they do different.
Logarithmic control horns for the flap and elevator ratio. In other words, you know what logarithmic means, right?
No.
It's not like exponential. It's sort of the inverse. But when you increase input, you get varying output depending on how far you pull the control handle.
Yeah, I think with Igor's, I think it also, tops off where the flaps move a certain amount and then they don't move anymore. I'm not real sure.
It's like Expo on RC transmitters. Do you have it on the
Yeah. Yeah, it's an attempt to get that. It's a nicely, I mean, like all of Igor's stuff, it's nicely engineered and everything like that. I've been waiting and seeing on that too. So
I just started fooling around with Expo on my RC planes because I've got a transporter that's capable of it. And I tell you, it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, I used to use Expo on my sail planes. It was, it was handy on that. And but let's see, I've got an airplane that I've been trying to finish forever here. It's got an Expo bell crank in it, and I haven't finished that off yet, but I'm looking forward to flying that. Again, the idea there is that around neutral, the control ratio is softer than it is when at extremes. The farther you move the bell crank, the control horns move progressively faster, or the output to the control horn is progressively faster.
That would be exponential, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
As opposed to logarithmic. Okay.
Yeah, I suppose logarithmic would be the opposite, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Igor gets a lot of flap in, but it kind of ends. It kind of runs out at like 30 degrees or something. Mm-hmm. The other flap system that I've been interested in, have you guys seen Wesley Dick's double slotted flap arrangement?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Steve, you have. I've watched him fly that. I haven't flown any of his airplanes with it, but it really fascinates me. And he's got good thought behind it, and he's done his homework on it, of course, and he's got a beautifully done mechanical system. It works really well, and dependable and all that. But again, the payoff for that is supposed to be more lift and less drag due to lift. All right.
One of our regulars built a plane like that. Tom Creasy, I think, built a plane with that.
Exactly. Yeah. Tom had one with what do you have? I want to say it was one of the Warbirds, maybe.
Yeah, P-40 or a Stuka.
Yeah. And so there's a couple of guys. Larry Fruits might be listening in here. He's built one of Wes's airplanes. He's actually got it set up where he'll be able to put a normal flap on it and switch over to Wes's flaps on the same airplane. So you're going to get an absolute back to back on it. In fact, we talked it over and thinking it should be feasible to fly it with the different flap on each side of the airplane.
Wow.
Yeah. And if it works as advertised, it actually should work well because you should get more lift and less drag on the inboard flap, say, the double slot, and then the other flap should have more drag and less lift.
Yeah.
And it should all add up into more line tension and all that. Now, I'm not sure that I want to go campaigning it, just yet. Certainly not until I see the doggone thing fly. But,
yeah, it sounds like it needs flying, but it does sound like a reasonable idea.
yeah, well, it's a absolutely perfect test setup. If you want to try to figure out what you got there, short of a wind tunnel test or something like that, he can definitely, Larry will be able to prove that out. And so I'm anxious to see that. I know, Wes built his Velvet design. He's built 4 of them now, and I've flown the first one. The second one, they both had the simple, traditional flap setups. And they both fly well. And the first one he had with the double slot flaps, just watching from the outside, seemed to fly better. And then the latest one he built, he refined the system a little bit, and it seems to fly the best of all. But yeah, Wes got that airplane. He donated it to the AMA Museum, and it's on display there occasionally. AMA is always rotating displays in and out and everything like that, but they had it on display the last time I was down there.
Yeah, John Paris has a Velvet almost into ready for paint. And it's
Is he there? Okay, I wasn't sure where he was on that.
And it's the second generation of the flap. I don't know what the difference was between the first generation and the second.
Yeah, he simplified the mechanism a little bit. It doesn't stick out in the wind quite as much as the first one did.
Okay.
But it's a really ingenious little. It's like all really good, technical ideas. It's the ingenuity is in its simplicity, and Wes did a really nice job with that. And so, like I say, it works remarkably well. It's absolutely dirt simple, dependable, and everything like that. And so it's a good system.
Yeah, I talked John into, and I feel bad about it now. I talked him into going down and picking up Trexler's molded fuselage for that Velvet and making it an IC.
Mm-hmm.
Use and all that kind of stuff. And when it all came down to it, it wasn't wide enough to take the crutch.
Oh, wow.
The way that he wanted it to. So he ended up scrapping that and going back and building
just a normal fuselage.
But yeah, it's just a deal to where it cost him, I don't know, weeks of building, or otherwise he'd probably have it in paint right now. So I felt bad about it. He said not worry, it was a good idea that if he could have got it to work with that rounded fuselage and stuff, it was super light and everything.
Yeah, Trax did a nice job on that.
Yeah. So that keel design, he said that was real simple, super straight, the way he did that. But yeah, so
it's good to know. I didn't know. I knew John was building one. I didn't know where he was on it or anything like that. But so you think he'll have it? He'll have it ready to fly this year? You think?
I think so. I think that's what he's planning. But he's putting in a pipe 61 in it, I think, or 60. I think it's a pipe 61.
You do fine.
Yeah, so we'll see how that is. I just kind of feel bad because I'm like, hey, John, man, you should get that molded fuselage, and they're stronger, and it's the rounded sides and all that kind of stuff, and he couldn't get the crutch to go in though. No matter what he did, he messed around and made different crutches, and he finally just said, "No, this ain't gonna work with the small." The made it just to go around a electric motor.
Yeah, really.
So
never got to see Trax's fly. I thought it looked real good and stuff like that, but that was too bad. I don't know if he still has it or not. I think he damaged it somewhere along the way. But
Oh, let everybody know on here. I found that battery that I was missing.
the what? Battery?
Yeah, I got.
Oh yeah, I remember you hid it from yourself.
Yeah, I put it someplace where I wouldn't forget.
Ah, good.
And then I found it, and how I found it was looking for the hardware package for this new Vector. Because now I put that someplace I wouldn't forget. So at least I found the battery. So I ask everybody, what do I need to look for so I can find that battery? Well, it was the hardware package for that ARF Vector. So now I got to figure out what to look for to find the hardware package.
Mm-hmm.
I always find stuff that I was looking for something else. But yeah, I need to start putting shit to where I'll forget where it's at, and then I should be able to find it easier.
Yeah.
You think I do drugs or I drink to where in my mind I'll put this there and I'll never forget where I put it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I finally find it, I'm like, why in the hell would I ever put it there?
That's why I only put airplane stuff in my shop. I don't put anything in my house, so it has to be in my garage.
That's the same thing with me. It's in my, 16 by 12 building room in the basement. I know it's there, but you think I could find it? But I found that battery in a little box with propellers. And why I would put it in there with propellers, I still haven't the faintest idea. But I must have been going to show somebody and I was taking propellers with me or something.
Seemed like a good idea at the time, I'm sure.
Like a good idea at the time, but I can't even think why I would put that in with propellers. But at the time, it seemed like a good idea. If I'd have been taking all the batteries, I carry all my batteries in, but I had to been going to do with that battery and the propellers at the same time, and I didn't do it. Got where I put it. So
we got 22 tubers out there watching us right now. Watching us 3. Us 4.
Well, with all the guys on YouTube, and there's only 3, I thought there'd be more of us in here. I think we should take a vote and see if Dennis should try for the Walker Cup this year at the Nats. I vote.
Yeah, right.
He's already won it once, so I think it's time for him to go for that again.
I could have something like the most years between or something like that.
How long has it been?
I keep pushing. I keep telling him I think he needs to go back for that Walker Cup again, but
you better watch out. Sammy's going to try for it too.
Well, hey, Sammy got his foot in the door last year, and what the heck? That's the first most important thing is to just get trying for it. So
yeah, that's why I'm trying to get you to try for it.
Yeah,
you could. You know what? You could win it with that new carbon fiber molded airplane.
Mm. Well, since the airplane has never even been built yet, that could be a little optimistic, but I hear you. I hear you. We're definitely going to try to get something going on that. I was waiting for is it Treon? I guess I'm not even sure how to say it.
I was just about to mention that.
For him to show up just so I could tell him that he shamed me last week, looking at all this cool stuff and everything like that. I mentioned that I chat with my nephew today about it, and she said, "Hell with this, we're going to get that we had an airplane. We had the molds made in 2008, and we haven't turned out an airplane yet." And it's like we're going to do that this year, no matter what.
You just making sure that the molding material cures well, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's cured. It's cured, and it's probably sick again. But who knows?
Well, Trying Revolutions is a fantastic plane.
Yeah, well, he's done a fantastic job with it, and it's completely good on him for all the hard work he's put into that, and it apparently has paid off for him. He's and the only way that isn't when you talk about the advanced structure and everything, it isn't something you do right the first time. I don't think it'll be pretty right, but it'll get better, with practice and stuff like that. So. But it's just been a shame as we've had had all the things there. And actually, I think one thing that's going to help now is that my nephew and two of my brothers all have 3D printing machines, and I think with that they were going to be able to make some of the parts that they needed to finish the airplane off, which would have been a lot easier than doing it any other way. It was all going to be hard, hand cut or laser cut or something like that out of plywood. But I think they're going to get some printed pieces now, and I think that'll help the overall project. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
How close are they? How close is your nephew to you?
He's in Kentucky, just over the border from Cincinnati, and so he's what he's at, probably 3 hours away, and then my brother is about 2.5 hours away in Detroit, so kind of right in the middle of it.
Oh, okay. So now it's just like we're getting everybody together, and
well, that's it. It's going to be you're going to be all right. We're going to have a molding weekend here and lay up some airplanes in the molds and stuff like that, and take them out and take them home and finish them and stuff. So
you just have to choose where you do it at, huh?
Yeah, that's it. I probably lobby for Kentucky only because I think more times of the year it's going to be warmer down there. Of course, he always cured those in an oven anyway, but still, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if we can get that. I'd like to be able to I'd like to be able to just get the thing in the air and see what we got to work with, and see where we can take it.
Yeah, you guys probably got the same weather that we got here, 50, 60 mile an hour winds, and
yeah. You get more stuff off the lake. Obviously, we don't get that, but we don't get anything off the lake. But other than that, temperature wise, we're usually in the same ballpark and whatever.
that was just this storm system that went through. I mean, oh my God! First we got snow, then it froze, then it warmed up. We had all kinds of wind, and I don't know, 3 or 4 hours, all the snow was gone, which was nice.
Yeah.
Made everything a muddy mess.
Okay. Hey, I see a question here. I'm gonna pretend I'm rusty for a second here. Gary Sinclair, is 3D printing good and strong? Yes, it's good. And is it strong? And the answer is it can be. You can print out of different kinds of plastic, depending which plastic you choose and stuff like that. Obviously, some are better than others. And in fact, if you want to spend your folding money, you can actually print. They're printing in metal now too, so yeah, you can get strong too. The other thing that goes to the strength question is that you can set the printer up to vary the density. I guess is the best way to put it of how the plastic is deposited, so that obviously more dense is more solid and everything like that. And if it's less dense, it's less solid. It can still be strong enough unless you're going to do something like screw down on it or something like that. And if you're going to do that, then it'll collapse. But if it's printed in a high density, then it won't collapse. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, the way I just said that. The other cool thing is you can actually vary the density across the part where you can make it, you can make it especially hard in places where it pays off, and then not make it that way in other areas that are less important. So yeah, you can do 3D printing in different materials, with different temperature capabilities, different strength capabilities, and you can do it. You can make you can make the part strong.
Can you use more than one material at a time, or do you have to stop?
I don't think
hoppers
they
and
can do
refill?
that. They can, they can use different kinds of material, but they don't mix it in the same process.
Yeah.
They can print skin now, cartilage.
Yeah. They're literally printing body organs and things like that experimentally. It's insane the capabilities that they're developing.
Yeah, there was somebody. It looked like he lost it, maybe, or something got burnt his ear. They took a picture from him and they printed an ear that looked like his old ear and attached it back to the side of his head. And he had other problems with scarring and everything else, but at least he had an ear.
Yeah, I understand experimentally they're printing things like kidneys,
and
things like that, and there could be some real phenomenal payoffs on that in the foreseeable future. So I think that's all pretty exciting stuff. So,
yeah, really. Wait till they start printing balsa. That's the stuff.
I think they can print it, but they can only print it in 8-pound density or something.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm teasing. There are people who are printing complete airplanes, printing the skins and everything like that. And if you go searching on YouTube and stuff like that, you can find like scale models and stuff like that. The printed skins. There was one in Toledo last year.
Did you see printed Spitfire on YouTube?
I have not seen the Spitfire. I saw a Hellcat or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, there's like a 60 size Spitfire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall if it was electric or nitro, but it was a big airplane, and it was just kind of like clear. It was kind of opaque,
yeah.
White, no paint or color on it. But that damn thing flew great, man.
Yeah, I've heard that somebody has actually printed a Corsair with that the wings fold and everything else, and the capability is there, And
Yeah,
obviously you set up a file and you get just a really thin skin, printing and stuff like that. But the capability is there. So
what's the cost of the material, the plastic, to do a job that big though?
Well, again, what material do you want? There's different prices. The basic PLA stuff is like $22 for a kilo or something like that, or I may not. In fact, it may not even be that much. I'm not even sure what it is, but it's really, really cheap for the basic PLA that works. That's kind of a good generic go-to material. But as you go up in scale, you get like a Lexan or polycarbonate or something like that. It's like twice the price, and
but hell, you'd want less than 2 pounds.
Kilos or what, 2.2 pounds?
Right.
It must have been more than that. I don't know. He told me the price of it. It's like in an engine mount, he's got something like 17 cents of plastic or something like that. That most of it is in the time to set it up, time to design it, and then the time to actually print it. It takes them up. Like that mount I showed off a little bit ago, it took them something like an hour and a half to print. It's actually 2 pieces, the back plate, the main body, and stuff like that. So he's actually been making a lot of these now so he's getting his processes down better all the time. Anybody who's bought a Tom Morris electric airplane, either the Cavalier, either the full fuselage or the profile, if you bought one in the last 2 years, 3 years maybe, Tom has been using my brother Dave's printed plastic mounts and all his electric airplanes now for the last few years, and that's where they're coming from. So,
oh no kidding. Oh, where the front engine mount that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's typically he makes a piece for like the profile Cavalier. It like slides into the front end, and it sets the thrust angle and aligns itself with the fuselage and does everything else. And I think Tom said it saved him something like 7 different operations and a few hours operations on every single profile he built.
My
So
friend Wayne's Cavaliers must have predated that, because I think I remember them having balsa front ends where all of that mounts up. He had prototypes from when Tom first started building the Cavaliers.
Yeah, but is he flying electric or ice gas?
Yeah, electric.
Electric, okay.
Yeah. Lynn Burrell says, "Hey, Mike, I got the plan you sent. Thanks."
Oh, all right. Yeah, that cost me 55 cents in postage, I think, to send that to Canada. So it was a nickel more than a U.S. stamp to get it there.
Hey, Lenny, how you doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, I wish you'd come on video and show us that twister that he made, that half-A twister. Boy, the pictures of that thing look great.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have some competition in half-A stunt, I think.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm anxious to see that. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Rusty, you're building half-A stunt planes, aren't you?
Yeah, I hadn't done much with it lately, but I've gotten this little Hyper Viper kit, CNC. It's the replica of the Cox Hyper Viper, and got it on the table right now. Hadn't done anything in a couple of weeks, but it's about ready to be painted.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's a pretty plane, and it looks like a thoroughbred stunter to me, even though it's a tiny little plane, but it's 27 inches, I think, wingspan. And so we'll see how that does. I still hadn't decided between the TD and the Big MiG, but they both got the same footprint. And I got a TD in it right now for building and shaping purposes. That's probably what I'll leave in it.
Right.
I love half-A though. I mean, get a high performance engine and don't putter around with those little quirky reed valve engines with the built-on tanks. You go ahead and get something with a real fuel system and a real Venturi, and they'll if you ain't grinning when you land one of those, you must be doing something wrong. They're fun to fly.
Mm-hmm.
Our club's going to have a half-A day. Well, we always have a half-A day, usually in the fall, probably September. And I think we're going to have us a little stunt contest and follow the Brodak and Triple Tree rules from their half-A contests this spring. And so hopefully I'll be able to fly in that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not going to be able to fly in either one of the two this spring.
Are you going to make it to Brodak?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm only 90 minutes from there anyway, so it's a day trip for me. So yeah, I'll be there.
Brodak's?
No, Brodak. No, I'm sorry, Triple Tree is where I'll be. I get that mixed up sometimes. Hey,
There's a monster cat there. Oh.
Hey, that's the professor. Come on, professor. My one-eyed cat. I think a bird pecked his eye out when he was a kitten.
Holy shit.
He's a big old boy.
Hey,
yeah.
Wait a second, never mind.
So anyhow, I have a question. I'm doing something I've never done before. I got from my dad's basement. We cleaned out a bunch of things, and we got he had a couple of the original Brodak ARFs that had the bad lead outs in them. He had a series that were like single once through the tube and crimped and all that kind of stuff. So I got all these airplanes I got to change lead outs in, and I tried doing one last night, and actually went okay, but it was a pain. So I was just kind of curious if you guys have ever been through changing lead outs and stuff, and if you can give me any advice on how to pursue it or what you've done that worked well for you.
The ones I've done, Dennis, when I get in there at the bell crank and I cut the line, I make sure I don't pull the lead out. I use that to tape the new lead out too, to pull it through the wing.
Yeah.
That's the only tip I have is when you cut
And
the old ones
how did
off,
you do that? How did you connect the new and the old and whatever to pull them through?
electrical tape, just a couple of
Okay, just tape it together.
Yeah, I've actually used a little CA to help hold it together too. I put a little bit of baking soda on the tips of the wires and CA them together, and also a little bit of tape, I guess.
But and if you screw up and one slips out on you, what you can do is run a piece of music wire in from the wingtip back to the bell crank and use that to feed it through. Or you can even tape the new stranded to the music wire and shove it through the wingtip, and then pull it off with the bell crank and take the music wire off. And that's the only tip I got for threading through the old wheelhouse.
I got another method that works well too. Is if you get some of that yellow tube from Dubro, the Nyrod tube, you get one that's long enough and fish it all the way down through the wing, and
that's a good idea.
You might have to cut the covering because it might not go through the eyelet on the tip of the wing, but you can run it right straight down through that, and it'll come out wherever you want it.
Yeah.
What
I did one last night. It was in a loose wing. The wing's not on a fuselage or anything like that. And I pulled one lead out. I clipped it and pulled it, and I fed a piece of music wire through it. And then I was actually, before I did all of that, I drilled out the hole in the adjustable line guide. It was real tight to the cable. I drilled it out to like 3/32, and with that, I was able to tape a piece of music wire. I got the music wire, fed it through the wing. Basically poke, 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 wiggle, wiggle, poke, poke. So it got through all the ribs, and it's just nothing scientific about it. And I was able to make that happen. And I got thinking, I got 2 other airplanes here that are fully built, flyable airplanes that I have to do that with. And man, I suppose I could do that, but it's going to be a real pain. So I get some of the Sullivan small tubing, the smallest tubing cable system they have is like a 1/16 tubing with a 1/32 hole in it. I'm hoping that'll help me out.
That Nyrod might be Sullivan. I said Dubro, but it might be Sullivan stuff.
I still think the easiest way is to cut it at the bell crank and connect your new line to the old one. And
pull it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up. In fact, I went the other way. I went from the wingtip in rather than from the bell crank out, and it was like, oh man, I there's got to be. I did get instead of tape, I got some heat shrink tubing. I thought that might work well too.
Yeah.
That I'll tell you what I did is that I have some of that Kevlar fishing line, and all I did was tie it on the end of the wire, hit it with some CA, clip the 2 little lead outs off, pulled it through. Now I got 2 pieces of Kevlar string sticking through the wing and everything. But I took the whole bell crank out and everything at one time, and then basically redid that, glued the fishing line, tied a knot on it, glued it to the thing, run it right back through. But I pulled the whole bell crank at the same time. I didn't try to cut it off the bell crank.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
last night I tried hard to put it, trying to anticipate what I'm going to have to do with the built airplanes. I was trying to get the cable through the bell crank and everything like that without removing the bell crank. And I couldn't make any progress on that at all, much less do an AMA wrap, working with tweezers and everything like that. Which would probably have taken me about a week, but I ended up getting the bell crank loose, and in effect, I did all the setups outside the airplane, and then slipped it back in when I finally got it. But I was just hoping that there was some silver bullet in there that you guys might be able to suggest. And I do appreciate all the ideas. I'm thinking the heat shrink tubing might be a little tighter. Then the tape, I wasn't able to wrap the tape real close to it. It gets kind of globby and stuff. And so I'm hoping the heat shrink tube works a little better. But other than that, and I never would have thought of doing the CA trick either. That sounds slick.
Yeah.
So
the other thing is that on one of them, I just cut 2 little 1-inch squares, went in there with silver solder and silver soldered them.
Did what again? You still
Soldered the crimps.
okay? Oh, okay.
Just so, because they pull out. So I figured, well, I'll silver solder them in place. They ain't going to pull out. Really simple.
The thing that got me going on this, my dad had one of the early Brodak P-40s, and the airplane was, he built it, you know, when was the original ARF came out? Like 07, 08 or something like that. And Dad got one early on and stuff. He built it, never flew it. It's been hanging from the lead outs, you know, since probably 08, 09, something like that, hanging there forever. Well, I took it down, and for no particular reason, I went to wiggle the controls, pulling on the lead outs, and one of them came right out in my hands. And the airplane had never been flown. It's been hanging by the lead outs, and that was enough to fail the connection at the bell crank on one of the lead outs.
Wow.
Right?
That's not encouraging.
Somewhere along the line, it's been hanging on one lead out, and that one didn't fail. You know.
I got one better than that, Dennis. I had a top flight flight streak ARF, and it was, you know, 3 or 4 years old. I'd flown it quite a bit, but I used to hang them by the lead outs too in my other shop in East Nashville. And one spring I came out to get it out, and the crimp on one of the lead outs on the tip had just opened up, and the wire was sprung wide open.
Amazing. Then that's after a couple of, and you've been flying it all the time, right?
I've been flying it all the time. I hung it up in the fall. I went out there in the spring, and I looked up, and I was like, that thing's only hanging by one lead out. Because I used to have, like, I'd put 2 little nails, you know, and put a lead out.
Yeah, right.
But it had just, the crimp had opened up, and the crimp was still on the lead out. It had just opened it up enough to let the wire slip out. So
Yeah.
the crimp was still there.
That's amazing. Oh, at any rate, yeah. So I got all these airplanes to change lead outs on. So whatever. So, Mike, what airplane are you getting ready there anyway?
This is the yellow SB-22. This is the one with the 61 that I didn't have enough fuel
That
on.
you don't have enough fuel tank in.
Correct.
All right.
So I pulled the engine and pipe and the tank out of it. I was just cleaning it up a little bit. I'll probably I did a little bit today, just kind of test fitting the other tank, and it's going to work. I just got them. There's some epoxy in here inside the fuel tank area. That's some little bumps and stuff that are keeping the tank sitting in all the way. So I got to clean all that up a little bit, and then I think I can wedge this other bigger tank in there, and that'll take care of my problem.
Yeah, that's it. That sounds like an ounce of fuel would work wonders in your case there. So.
I think so. And if I can't get that to work, tomorrow I'll measure the Venturi, and I'll try to get Randy on the phone and then ask him, or maybe give Eric a call back. I didn't even think about the Venturi thing. I mean, that's just, you know, that's not where my head was at all. I'm just like, fuel, you know.
Yeah, everybody wants more power, right? More power means more Venturi and a bigger hole and whatever. So.
But I mean, that's how new I am to this kind of flying. It wasn't even in my wheelhouse to think that, you know. But that's why we have this chat, man, so we can get answers to our questions, you know. I don't care if I look foolish because I didn't know something. I just learned something.
Yeah.
Even though I knew that about Venturi size, but it just never crossed my mind for this particular issue.
Yeah, I just learned actually, you know, I've never even owned a Randy engine or anything like that, but I was learning about his Venturis and stuff like that recently, helping the recruits flying with him, and he'd been working on some engine issues, and he had a fuel economy issue, and messed around with Venturi sizes. And so I believe his solution was he finally changed out the tank too. It was like, you could get it to where he got it all the way up to, I think, marginal or something like that. It was just, that's not comfortable. And,
I
and
mean,
even
I
enough
know,
time, but not comfortably enough time. And he ended up he was able to stuff in a little more fuel, and obviously that made it easy. But
I knew that, about
yeah.
the Venturi sizes going up and down to get longer runs or whatever. I just never had to deal with that issue because I've only ever flown profiles, and I run, the Venturi that, I run mostly Dixon LA 46s, so I run his Venturi and needle and setup. And in a profile, you can put whatever size tank you need to get you there.
Yeah.
You're
Now
not.
that I think about it, I seem to recall at Brodax last year you overran once. So
I did.
Yeah, I heard that story.
Yeah, you hit 8 minutes and the engine was still just singing along and everything like that. And geez, Mike. But
Hey, Mike, if you get on Kaz's website, he sells a deal to where the Venturi mounts in the motor, and they're little changeable pieces that you pull out and drop in.
that's cute.
Yeah, you can pull if you want an 8. You just pull, you pull out your 6 and pop in an 8. You don't have to take the needle valve out or anything else.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Hey, talking about overruns, Dennis, if you're ever around Will Davis, tell him to show you the picture on his phone because he took a screenshot of one of my flights at Huntersville. I think this was 2 years ago. It was 75999 when he stopped his watch on his phone. He said he's gotten close to that before with some other people, but he never had one. I was 1/100th of a second from being over.
Amazing.
And he took a screenshot.
Hey, the other thing, the other wild card, and it sounds like you're past that anyway, but there are some guys who help their fuel economy by putting a air filter over the Venturi, like one of those sponge air filters.
Yeah, right. Brewline makes those.
Yeah, just 2 things. It prevents any fuel from splashing out or anything like that, but of course it also gets kind of you get a certain amount of choking out of it. In effect, chokes down the Venturi just a smidgen and whatever. Might be enough to help you over the edge, but frankly, if you got more fuel tank, if that option's in play, that's going to cinch it anyway. So
I have more fuel tank, and this one's already out, so the other one's going in. That's what's happening.
Yeah, an air filter. Brodak has them now.
Yeah,
he remanufactured the Brew air filter.
Oh, good. I'm going to get some of those. I wish I'd known about that last month when I sent a list up there with Bob.
Yeah, I seen them as a prototype, and now I see them there in the catalog.
Has John come out with a new catalog in the past 4 years?
The catalog's coming out now, and that's much new stuff that I guess Janda said it's crazy.
Yeah, they've been working on the catalog for a while now. It'll be out real soon.
Good.
I don't really know what the date is.
But Dennis keeps making stuff, and they got to keep adding pages to it.
Len Burrell says pantyhose works over the Venturi with an O-ring to hold them on.
Yeah,
I did that. First time I tried doing that, my engine inhaled the pantyhose. I had to get a pair of hemostats and fight the engine for it to get them back out.
Well, it's a real bitch going to the mall and running up to a lady and getting a pair of scissors and clipping off a piece and taking off again.
Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck. And yeah, stay away from the fishnets too. All right. So
hey, this is off topic a little bit, but and you guys may not know this guy. Are any of you familiar with Lance Matassa from Phoenix, Arizona?
No.
He's a big combat guy. He puts on the F2D contests out there in Phoenix.
Okay.
And I believe he's helped out at the Nats several times, but he passed away this afternoon. It's really sad, man, because March Madness is going on in Phoenix right now this weekend. It started today, and that's Lance's contest. And
Wow.
I guess about a week ago, he was feeling poorly, and he went to the doctor, and his blood count was through the roof, and he found out he had leukemia, and they were pumping him full of chemotherapy, and unfortunately, he passed away. He didn't make it.
Yeah.
But I thought you might have known him, Dennis, back from the combat days.
Yeah.
My aunt's got that, and she won't take any chemo or anything like that. But she just turned 99, and she said that she's old enough, and she's not gonna.
Yeah.
Her last days will probably be more comfortable and happier without the chemo, to be honest. So probably a good decision on her part.
Mhm.
I got this. I talked to you about today on this nose ring and stuff on this Bearcat.
Yeah.
But look, I don't know. Can you see how big that nose ring is?
Yeah, it's about looks like about 2 fingers here on the screen. I got you.
It is the inside. The opening on it is 2 3/4 inches. The overall ring is just a tad under 4.
It's got what's the difference or distance between the fuselage sides? It's got like a normal fuselage side up there with a doubler on it, doesn't it? That must be about 2 3/4.
The fuselage sides are 3 3/8.
Yeah, none of the existing kits are going to come really anywhere close to that. So I'll see if I can put something together for you and get that off to you pretty quickly. All right, what I'll do is I'll send it to Jan, and then you call up Jan, and she'll, or Parker will cut it for you and stuff.
Oh,
You
okay.
may have to build it. You'll be building without a net, if you will, but you built that. You did that before with the last one, so that'll work.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I mean, fuselage, is over an inch wider than what the hardwood rings are.
Yeah, I started a design for the Bearcat and for the Corsair. They're similar but different, and I hope to have the 2 of those before much longer. But
yeah, I was gonna say the overall. What did I see that? The overall, I had it measured. I think it's 7.5 inches is the overall length of the nose.
yeah, pretty short,
isn't it? Or not? Is that a normal 40 size?
Well, the thing that's a Pat Johnson airplane, and he's pretty doggone good designer. I think he designed that thing for like an LA-46 or something, so it should still balance. So I think he'll be able to balance it all right with an electric. At worst case, to get a 3520 motor, the heavy motor, put it up there, and that'll balance it for sure.
Well, I wasn't really worried about balancing. It was just the length for the battery.
Yeah.
But it looks like there's plenty of room on top of the wing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from the top of the wing to the top of the cowl is 3.5. You could almost put the battery on the CG.
They'll come in pretty close to the CG because of the wing has dihedral in it, so the wing is low in the fuselage. But if you put the battery sort of even with the top of the wing, it's actually going to end up being at the right height. Lead out with respect to the lead outs and stuff like that. So I think it'll work well.
Oh, okay. I didn't think this one had any dihedral in it.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, it does?
I don't remember how much, but it has some.
It doesn't show it on the plans, but I'm know that the other ones did. That's why I was wondering about this, because usually when you have dihedral and they draw the plans, you'll show the root and the tip. And this one doesn't do it, but that doesn't mean that it's not in it. I'll have to get the directions and see.
Yeah, I think if you looked at the wing plan, there's probably a little view on it or something like that to prop it up, 3 inches or something like that.
Okay, I'll go over it more. I didn't see it on there, so that's why I was kind of wondering. But
yeah,
I'm glad I can just try to lay this whole plan out.
I got a little RC swap meet motor here. I'm going to try to perform a save on. I picked this thing up for $5. Got a broken carburetor on it. I don't know how good you can see that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's broken pretty good.
Yeah, it is. So I measured it. It's 1/2 inch. I found a guy online that sells 1/2 inch or whatever you want Delrin bushings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then he'll drill them to whatever size you want. So I told him I wanted a piece. Well, I got it 2 inches long because I didn't know how tall I was going to have to make it. But it fits exactly in there. And then I'm just going to JB weld the damn thing in there and put a tiger needle across the top. And I had him do it at 285 for the bore. That should be enough area for me to run this thing on suction.
Yep.
So, because it's a snappy ball bearing motor, man. It's a good motor.
What size engine is that?
It's a 46.
Okay.
It's a 46, so it weighs about as much as a Nelson. So, I mean, the plan for this thing is to put this on some old slow combat planes that run on suction tanks anyway, to use for Sam as trainers.
Now, you told me last week there's no such thing as slow combat.
There's not. Well, I have actual slow combat airplanes. The event is dead, yes, but I'm talking about slow combat airplanes, the actual planes.
Oh, okay.
So the event is dead, but there still are slow combat airplanes out there that people own, but nobody flies the event anymore.
By the way, on that JB weld isn't going to hold the Delrin real good, is it?
I'll scuff it up.
You'd be better off with just using silicone rubber or something like that.
Well, I can scuff it up. I can even drill a few indents in it.
Yeah, some dimples ought to make it hold.
Okay.
In it. And I'll probably use the JB Weld epoxy first, and then put the steel stick over it.
Okay.
They make a 2-part steel epoxy, and it's pretty good. It sticks to most anything, man. And then I'll just glom on a bunch of the clay stuff after.
Mm-hmm. Sounds pretty good, but it'd be a nice way of reclaiming that engine.
Well, that's what I was thinking. It was super cheap, and it's got excellent compression. I mean, it's strong. There's no reason this shouldn't run on suction with about a 280 Venturi and a tiger needle in it. It should be just.
Oh yeah, that'll work. That all adds up.
Yeah, I think so.
That'll be good.
Hey, Mike, Pat's got a question for you. He wants to know what he should search for to follow the Detroit Rouge Flyers, or the site where they fly.
They don't really post anything other than Paul Smith will post on Stunthangar in the events section for the May meet and for the September meet. They don't ever really come out with an event flyer that's posted anywhere. It's AMA sanctioned, so it would be in the AMA magazine under events for May and September. But other than that, none of those guys are real internet savvy or anything. And the Strathmore Club is like 5 guys now. The Dennis, back in the heyday, man, how many guys were out at Rouge flying when they had combat contests out there? It was insane. They ran at Stunt, Carrier. It was just like Huntersville, Rusty, but with like 3 times as many people that come to Huntersville now.
Holy crap. That's a lot of people.
I was 10 years old, in the 70s, and I'd ride my bike down there and just watch all day long. There was stuff going on there.
Yeah.
It was like
some contest, some combat contests down there that used to be like 2-day contests, and I remember like the Chicago guys showing up with like a van full of airplanes. They used to take 2 broom handles, put them through the stabilators. They'd carry these airplanes out, for the whole team. They're carrying them out, looked like 20 at a time, and taking them all back at the end of the contest. They'd all be trash.
The Chicago guys still come. I mean, Chris Gay comes, Bob Birch comes, the Canadians come, Ivan and Pat McKenzie and Brad LaPointe. So the Beanfield Flyers, they come over for the Detroit contest because they always fly. They'll fly slow, fast. I mean, real slow combat, which isn't flown before. Slow, fast, speed limit, half A, F2D, and F2D fast. They'll do all that in 3 days. Of course, they can do it in 3 days because there's not as many participants now, Yeah. But they're of the mindset, if you bring it, we'll fly it. If 2 guys want to fly it, they'll fly it. They'll have it.
That's great.
Yep. 2 guys have equipment and they want to fly it, they'll fly it.
By the way, Steve, I found the plans for the Bearcat. The wing plan, great big letters in the middle of the plan, says 1-inch dihedral per wing. You see that you got the wing plan handy there?
Yeah.
Look under just to the right of center, like underneath the inboard wing layout. Note 1-inch dihedral per wing.
Oh yeah. Yep. You're right.
Hey, Steve McBride, you hadn't said anything yet. What's going on with you?
Not much. Just listening to you guys.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you.
How old are you?
Too young, too old. 46.
Maybe. I thought, as much as he flew with Detavio and all of them, that he was older. And I looked, well, you're only 40, 45?
46.
46? Oh, okay. I'm like, wow. Just a baby yet.
Thank you. I got the aches and the pains, but I appreciate that.
That's your reward for living this long. It only gets better.
Yeah, the pains get better all the time. You get more of them.
It's like get out of bed, it's like jump start every day, trying to crank yourself up and get going. The back pains, everything, muscles tighten up.
Yeah, I remember about 45 coming up the steps of that 2-story house I had. If it was at nighttime and it was really quiet, I could hear something in my knees. And I'm like, damn, I can actually hear something in my knees. Well, I don't have to listen for it anymore.
Yeah, I remember when my neck started sounding like it was crushing rocks.
Yeah, I mean, now it's like, oh, I can feel the gravel in them.
Okay, old man Geezer Reich session is now concluded.
Hey, Rusty, who was asking about Detroit? Pat, who?
Pat Kennedy.
Where's he from?
I think he's from Michigan.
Okay. I was just curious if he lived close to Rouge Park.
I know he's always talked about the sites around Michigan when you're talking about them. So I believe he lives up there. Hey, Emma.
Say hi. I wish I had a better answer for him, man. But like I said, well, he's on Stunthangar because he's watching, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, just check the events section on Stunthangar. That's really, and Paul Smith is the guy who handles all that. So
has anybody heard from Charles where he's been lately?
No, he hadn't been in a few shows lately.
Right. I got to get in touch with him. I have his number somewhere, but I misplaced it, and I got to get back in touch with him.
He was on last Friday. He wasn't on Monday, but he was on Friday.
He was on Friday. Yeah, I have his number somewhere, so I just misplaced it. I got to give him a shout. I got something for him.
I got his number if you want it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we actually.
I don't know if I want to say it over the public airwaves.
Email it to me then.
Okay. I will.
Email it to me.
I will.
That works. Yeah, because I have something for him yesterday, and I got to get it to him, but I want to give him a shout first and see that he's going to make sure he's going to be at the Palmer event so I can bring it out to him.
You don't like him, do you, Emma?
Oh, she left.
Oh, damn.
Well,
I mean,
right there.
She's laughing at you. Don't like him, do you?
Say no, I love him because he's my daddy.
Now, in the process of building a new Patriot.
All right, on.
Yeah.
Do another one, huh?
Another one.
Oh, okay.
I'll make this one even lighter.
I was thinking if you had that same pilot with his hand sticking up higher, you would have inverted like that again and save the canopy and everything.
Oh, I bought another pilot for the new airplane, same exact one.
Oh, okay.
I bought this. Actually, that pilot, he's got too big of a headache. So even though I put him back in the airplane and he tried flying that way, plane flew screwed up. So I got a new pilot, put a new guy in there. Now the plane flies right.
hey, Steve, I don't seem to have your email address. Do you call yourself Steve McBride on Stunthangar or PM?
No, it's Time Machine 60 at AOL.com.
Oh, okay. That's why I couldn't find it. Yeah,
Time
okay.
Machine 60 at AOL.com.
All right.
So what kind of dance does Emma do? You said she's in dance?
No, she's in gymnastics.
Oh, in gymnastics. Oh, okay.
Watch out. She's still in here listening, man.
I thought maybe if it was dance, she'd have one of them things coming up here pretty quick.
No, just gymnastics. She don't want to do dance, not yet.
So you got a contest coming up for gymnastics soon, or whatever they call them? Is it a contest or a meet or?
Yeah, there's a fun meet. Actually, I think it's this weekend, isn't it? Or is it next weekend?
I think it's.
Yeah, but she's not going to participate in this one. She says doesn't think she's ready, so she's gonna wait to the next one. They have them like every other month, so
okay.
And they just do the skills that they've learned or whatever. So, but she's gonna wait. She's a little bit shy about her gymnastics, so she'll get there. She'll be on the U.S. team someday. Or the Russian team. She's got dual citizenship. She could go work for the Russians if she wanted to.
Oh, that's good.
I'm gonna make this Venturi right now.
No.
All right. I'm gonna turn my phone off so I'm not blasting you out.
As I was saying, I'm going to make this new Patriot, and I'm going to make this one even lighter than the first one. So I'm more conscious about all the wood that's in it. And every single piece I'm taking out as I'm going through it. I weigh every piece and then decide whether I like that or I'm retracing it out and making a new piece and making it even lighter.
Okay. Yeah, because that's one thing about my first Vector. The first one I made, I don't have a problem making every other one lighter than that one.
Well, yeah. I'll give you a simple example. On the so I started working with waiting for some parts on the wing because they didn't like the way they came out. I called them back and I got getting to rip that back. So I started working on the stab. And just alone, you work on the stab, the sheeting for the stab, and then you take the sheeting that they want you to put over for the elevator itself too, without putting any of the formers inside of it or building it up. This was 1.3 ounces on it. I built the whole. I used my own choice wood that I have, put the whole stab and elevator together at 2 ounces.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll make a difference. It really does in the whole.
Almost 3/4 of an ounce. Yeah, let's see. About 3/4 of an ounce.
Mm-hmm.
I saved on the tail alone. Right there.
I was like on the last Vector, instead of a 1/2 inch piece of balsa wood, like 3/8 inch by I think it was 1/2 inch. And I built up a stab, and then I covered it with 16th inch, and I forget how much I saved. It was crazy on the amount of weight I saved on that built up.
Yeah. I mean, I've not the wood he gave me and everything that came with the kit is excellent. It's great quality choice wood. It's just I got a little bit more particular, saying I'm a little more weight conscious and a little experiment with trying this and tracing things out. So I'm taking the parts and retracing them out for the ones I want to, and saving a little bit of weight here and there on it. So
Hey, Steve, email is sent, and Gary Sinclair says, Steve, do you have a plane for the calendar? He said, Steve, that could include both of you, Steves. I think
Sure.
Steve Hines already answered.
Yeah, I can get you a plane for the calendar.
Would you please send it to him?
Yeah, what's the what am I sending it to? Email me that one where I'm sending it to.
I'll have to open the open forum and look up the thread. I'll bump the thread.
So it's on the thread?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably on page 2 by now.
Calendar?
Yeah,
What?
there's an attachment to the thread. If you download the attachment, it's got all the information you include with the picture, including mailing address.
Ain't that right, Mike?
What?
You're sending a picture of yourself in a Speedo.
No.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
Okay. Let me see.
If not, just send me the email address.
I'll look it up and send it to you. I'm not going to go over to Stunthangar and search it out right now, but I will.
Yeah, I'm not when I start clicking around things, all of a sudden, sometimes the computer is going to kick me out or something.
Hey, Dennis, you should send that picture of your Walker Cup winning airplane in you when you're 18. Seriously.
Ancient history.
Huh?
Ancient history.
But it'd be great for the calendar.
No, do I have to wear a swimsuit?
Now you can just send that picture you showed last week.
Oh, all right.
I'll bump that thread so it's in the open forum tomorrow. Or here, I'll go over there and find it and bump it now, but I won't be able to see if anybody tries to join us. So holler at me if they do. I'll still be able to hear you. It won't take but a minute.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any flying here this weekend. It's supposed to be windy all weekend long, and
I think we're supposed to have thunderstorms all weekend too.
They say our weather's going to be shaky over here too, but I'm hoping somehow, some way, maybe I get a break and get a few flights in. We got the farmer event at the end of the month. I want to definitely get 2 flights in for that. But hopefully the weather kicks in and gives you a break.
I want to try something now.
yeah, it's the deal to where here I was at Pell's greenhouse today, and all the ferns and stuff, all the plants are hanging. He's got, when he said 18,000 ferns or whatever, and nothing's gone. And I'm like, wow, when are you gonna get to when are you sending out all the plants? He says not Home Depot or Walmart, anyone's taking anything right now because of the weather. That they're afraid that the weather will get too cold and kill everything. So yeah, we just got really crappy weather, cold this year.
We had snow for the first time in years. We haven't ever seen snow out here.
No kidding.
No snow accumulates over here. In the mountains, it does. You go up to Mount Charleston areas and so you look over the mountains, you got snow up there, but never down here in the valley.
Okay, Steve, can you see my screen right now?
Yeah.
All right, see that picture? That's one I'd like to share.
Hey, that'd be great for the The calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that the Tricky Nicky whatever? Or
Yeah, that's the Mythbuster.
oh, that's the Mythbuster. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the 7-1 and the V-tail and all the cool stuff on it. So,
Yeah,
but
send them that
Bill
one.
Morbacher, the engine collector dude that always shows up at Brodak, he took this collage and put it together and everything like that, and I just absolutely love what he did with it. But
Oh yeah,
there's some great in-air shots there.
now you're only running a 4-cell 22.
Yeah, 4-cell 2200 on a 2820 Turnigy motor.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's a when I bought that motor, it was $17.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, heads up. I just posted the link to the thread in the open forum where you can download the little form that he made and all of the information for mailing it and all that, and the information to include like your name and model name and all. So go to that thread and download the little forum and use that information to send your pictures to him.
Now, is that a molded fuse on that, Dennis? It looks rounded anyway.
It's rounded, but it's actually all stringered.
Oh, it's all stringered. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's stringers and then covered around it, so there's a lot of shape in it that way. And it has a radial cowl on it, like we were talking.
Yeah.
Little 3-inch. It's actually one of the. You ever seen the Berkeley aluminum cowls? They were like metal turned, or what do they call it? They were turned aluminum, and it's a 3-inch Berkeley cowl. And I modified that to mount the motor directly into the front of the cowl, and then the cowl is attached to the airplane. So the cowl is the motor mount.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
You see that link, Steve?
Yep.
Excellent. Yeah, so bookmark that and you'll have it when you're ready to use it. The attachment's a PDF file.
Okay.
I got a question for you, Dennis. With the counter rotating props, I know that a lot of people went to them and then went back. What I don't understand is what difference it would be on the trimming, or someone said because the electric motor is higher up, it makes that the trim is different. A regular tractor prop considered to a rotating.
Yeah, and I think it was Igor said that because the thrust line's above the wing, you get a certain restoring moment with the prop if it turns normal, and you lose that with a left-hand prop. Of course, the way out of that is you just make the airplane. If the airplane's in line or something like that, it doesn't matter at all. There was a guy. What's his name? Stuart Sherlock in Australia. He's a physicist and a modeler and everything like that. And he actually did some really good equations and stuff on it. Basically, when you're flying the airplane in a circle, like control line airplane, you get a certain pitch up or pitch down from the propeller motion, depending which way which direction you're flying in the circle and which direction the prop is turning and stuff like that. And it turns out that let's see, it was a normal rotation prop over the thrust line will actually lift the nose. I think that's way it worked. And so if you have a low wing airplane or something like that, it all balances out because you have the engine rotate, the motor rotation. Motor over the wing wants to pitch down, but if but the rotational prop will actually pull it up, so it'll end up grooving. And if, of course, with the opposite rotation, it goes badly. Of course, the way out of that is to either put the wing above the thrust line or even in line with the thrust line, and then it's saying, then you don't really have the same kind of thing, same kind of problem. Well, okay, you still get the either nose up or nose down, no matter what. But if it's a question of where the wing is in relationship to the thrust line, if you want to restore it or not. So that was the reason, that Igor described. Reality, I don't know how strong that is, and I know that it's there. I know I've built really low wing airplanes, like the wing 2 inches below the thrust line and stuff like that. And I battled that with the electric airplane. I battled that for a long time before I finally settled on up thrust in the motor to cure it. Oddly enough, on that airplane, I never tried a right-hand rotation prop, which may have cured it also. Actually, kind of thought maybe I'll go back to that sometime and try it.
Okay.
My trouble, Steve, is that I'm so sold on the left-hand rotation prop that I don't even think of taking it off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that was the solution, I'd find a different solution. So.
Well, I was kind of wondering about that because didn't George Aldrich fly in the opposite direction?
If you're flying the opposite direction, you're already dealing with that. With a normal rotation engine flying the opposite direction, like Aldridge, like Lou Andrews, like those guys from history, but also people like Gene Schaefer and let's see, Jerry Phelps, and I think I can't think of his name. The Canadian out west,
Yeah.
Ressinger. Does that sound right? Alan Ressinger. Does that sound right?
The opposite
At any
direction.
rate, those guys have always battled with this, and it apparently no one ever bothered worrying about it, for their problem. But they're dealing with the same thing we are, flying a left-hand prop kind of counterclockwise as they were flying a right-hand prop flying clockwise.
Right.
And they seem to overcome it. So I guess we can too.
So straight and level, is that where it would show up, or
it actually shows up and I guess just level flight?
That's what I was thinking too. And it's like, that would be, I don't know if you have more problems than other maneuvers, or better in the other ones, to where level flight would be the only thing.
Yeah.
So actually, you're saying that a left-handed or a counterclockwise prop on a normal with the thrust line above the wing, straight and level, it'll try to nose down, or it'll nose up.
A left-hand prop will try to nose down. And really, that doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter where the wing is. It's going to thrust down. Now, if the wing is below the thrust line, it will also want to thrust down because the drag of the wing is below the thrust line, is holding it back. So the airplane wants to pitch down because of that.
Oh, okay.
So they, and Igor, the one that, I'm using his name in vain here only because he was the one that, the first, so far as I know, the only one who's called it out that way. He's called out, our typical designs. We try to keep the landing gear short and everything like that. And of course, we've been designing inverted engine airplanes for 75 years now. So everything has a certain look to it. When you make it electric, we just went with the same layouts and stuff like that. If you wanted to make up if you wanted to put a corrective moment on that pitch down from the prop, you would make it I don't know if high wing is the right thing, but it would be wing above the thrust line. You know, if you will take a normal airplane and just roll it over.
Right.
So,
So
hey,
when,
you know, I have an airplane here I want to show you guys. And it's something I'm sure you've never seen. All right.
Oh, Rich Imhoff's doing in here. Says, what are you guys doing up this late? Hey, Rich, coming in. Oh, we're not that late. 12 o'clock has always been the official show end time, but I don't think we've turned it off that early in a long time. We've been on till 2 o'clock a.m. a few times in the past month or so. We're still here, hanging in here, talking about airplanes mostly.
now I know that he knows enough about computers. He can get in here and talk with us. He doesn't have to be on the damn YouTube thing.
Maybe he will. Hey, Rich, can you come in live with us? We're not going to be here too much longer, but if you want to come in with the video or plan on doing it next week, Monday or Friday, it'd be great to have you.
Try to get him all the time to get on here, and he doesn't do it.
Where's Rich live?
Right by me.
Oh, okay.
Just a couple miles. Well, I don't know. What is this? 7, maybe 11 miles. 11.
Welcome to the show, Rich. I don't remember if you've been in here with us before or not, but glad to have you. Guess he'll have to go buy it. Oh, he doesn't have a camera. Yeah, I use the Logitech C270. It's a combination camera and a mic, and you can clip it to your monitor, or I put mine on one of those little bendy tripods that's about 6 inches tall and put it in front of me. And
Get up.
it's pretty good.
That has a camera.
Here comes Charles Carter. Hang on just a second, Charles. I'll let you in.
What do you got there, Dennis?
Okay.
Try pace.
Rusty, if you can put me up front and center here, because it's going to be a little hard to see.
Okay, let me click on you and let me do a present to everyone. And you're go. You're green for a demonstration.
Okay. This is a Piper Super Cup that my dad built back in probably 1960 or before. All right. It was a kit made by Monogram, the same company that makes plastic models and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The reason I wanted to show you this is they had a very unique control system that I've never seen anybody else use. You see this little A-frame hanging off the wing?
Yeah.
Hey, Dennis, did you do something that changed your sound?
Can you see that all right?
Yeah, we can see it. We're having a hard time hearing you. Oh, wow.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so it's a high wing airplane. The control rod goes through the wing into an L crank and go back. It works extremely smooth and well and everything like that. And I don't know if they were doing this to get around the Jim Walker patent, or if they were trying to just build a high wing airplane that didn't have the lead house coming out the side of the fuselage.
We can barely hear what you're saying, Dennis. Did you do something to change your sound?
Hey, Charles, you got your
Wait a minute, Steve.
yeah, it did it when Charles came in. Once you
Okay.
on Charles' sound, then his went bad.
Okay, hang on. Let me click Charles's microphone. And okay, Dennis, go ahead and continue. Sorry to interrupt.
I don't know if anybody, if you guys have ever seen anything like this. I've seen, there's been a couple of threads on Stunthangar and stuff where people have talked about them, but I've never seen one before, except for this one. I've never seen it, the kit finished. They had this Monogram. They had the Super Cup, and they had an Aranca Chief, I think. Chief or Champ, I'm not sure which. And they were the same size. It's basically a solid wood shell or milled. In the bottom, it had ribs. It's actually a very thin. This is symmetrical airfoil. I don't think I want to go entering it in a stunt contest, but it looks like it would probably fly pretty well. Got a McCoy 19 on it, weighs about 22 ounces, I guess. It would probably fly reasonably well. This here, I'm just not sure you know, if it would bind up or anything like that with loads on it, I surely wouldn't want to put a 10G pull test on it. All right.
Yeah, that would be a possibly problem.
Yeah, you got this thing in there. It's just basically you got just that bearing there, and you know, and it's actually pretty flexible, you know, little piece of steel. But I just thought it was unusual that, you know, as one of those little gauges in control line development or something like that. But,
Yeah.
unfortunately, never went anywhere. I'm sure. But, just showing it off because I've never seen anything like it, and I was kind of
Yeah, I've never seen that before either. It seems like it might want to make the outboard wing dip, but I'm not sure how that might affect it. Have to put it up and find out.
So the thing about it is that the lead outs end up being pretty close to the center of gravity, right?
Yeah.
Most times you're hiring an airplane, you can't bring the lead outs up to place. And if you did put the lead outs in the correct place, you couldn't put any interior in the cockpit or anything like that. But here, basically, the cabin is wide open, and he didn't do it, but Dan could have put a full cabin with the seats and a pilot and everything else, and not done anything.
That's
Hey, Charles, how are we doing?
Right. This is definitely a Banjock kind of airplane, isn't it?
Yeah.
My intention is, again, this is for cleaning out gas house. We got this. My hope is to donate this to John Brodak for his museum. Because again, it looks like it's a museum kind of piece, you know.
Rich says Dan Banjock would go gaga over that.
Yeah, that's it. As we say, it's definitely a Danny Banjock kind of project, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, banner with all the little things. A neat little airplane, and Dan never flew it. For who knows whatever reason. Maybe he's afraid of it too, but I'd be curious, just you know, just once, you know, just once. See if it hurts with that. I don't know. Oh,
Looks good. So, Charles, you've been doing a lot of flying?
Just a little bit. I flew today about 4 times, and flew Wednesday, and I flew Monday.
Good deal.
Yeah.
How's your pattern doing these days?
Still flying big.
What are you flying, Charles?
An Olympic. Dave Sabon's Olympic.
Still flying that? Okay. You said your Strega is still down, right?
Yeah, I haven't even touched the Strega. But Dennis, thanks for the idea about cutting the flaps on the plane. I'm actually gonna maybe do that. Cut down the flaps on my Strega because the Strega flew big. Also, of course, I'm flying it, so it flew big.
Those flaps go all the way out to the tip.
Yeah, all the way to the tip.
Hey, does anybody here know Patty Wagstaff?
No.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know her personally, but I know who she is.
Yeah.
What about her?
Patty Wagstaff. Here, let me bring this around. That's Patty Wagstaff.
Oh,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she flies the Strega.
Oh, very cool.
Well, Charles.
Yeah.
This is my father. Let me show you something here. This Strega here was my father's airplane. He don't fly anymore. And it was built back in 2006.
Yeah.
Well, he understands that your Strega's down and so forth. You got one airplane and so forth. You had problems with your vector. He'd like to know, would you like this airplane? I'll bring it out to you at the Palmer event. You can have it.
Oh, that'd be great. Oh, I'd love that. Oh man, that'd be awesome.
It's a full size 60 size Strega, fully built. Like I said, it was built back in 06. My father was flying and being more competitive. You'll need at least a 76 or better for it. Which you have an 80, you said, right?
I have a Stalker 81 in my Strega right now. And
you'll fit that in here.
I have a couple of these. Oh wait, that's a rear exhaust. Probably the yeah. I have a couple engines for it for sure.
Hey, Trey.
You got something about 76 or better for it, or if you have something with a pipe, you could set this up either way with a rear exhaust, just a rear exhaust muffler, or one with a pipe. It's set up either way.
It is. Oh, that'd be great. Because I actually have. I received my K77s. I think last week. I got them back from Oleg.
What did he charge you to fix the one?
You know, he only charged me $50.
Oh, okay. Did he say what he thought happened or anything?
No, but he changed the crankshaft, the cover plate, and I think he changed. Obviously, he changed the conrod. That's obvious.
See, Charles, you got her smiling. You got her smiling.
Oh, that's very cool, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely going to the Palmer. I was Dennis Nunez and I are going to share expenses for a hotel room.
When my father flew this, he flew in and had it set up with the a Rojet 76 with a rear exhaust, just a rear exhaust header muffler, and it flew well, really well that way. And we experimented with it and did things different with it. Now, give me a second so I can lay this down.
You guys have no sleep?
No, you either, huh?
I just finished my homework. I had an exam to take and finish by midnight. So.
Oh, cool. So it's set up for rear exhaust.
Hold up. Let me go ahead and put this stupid window that just came up on my screen here. So you set it up rear exhaust the way it's set up this way, or you got the pipe tunnel in there as well.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's because I actually would like to try the K77 in that.
Run it and experiment with it. I mean, this is a free airplane, something that's a good test airplane for you to work with, and you work with the pipe, work with the plane. And I know you like the Stregas. I don't fly it. So I'm not going to use it, and I'd rather see somebody put it to use and have fun with it for what it's designed for. And people handed me airplanes already, and I use them for that same advantage. So I'd rather see you have a lot of fun with it too and use it.
I appreciate it. I definitely will. Get me back in the air with the Stalker 81. I mean, I can fix the other Strega. It's just I got so much going on. That's probably why I haven't been on the show. I've been cleaning my garage. I actually rearranged the whole garage, and so I can barely move around until I get things put away right.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll definitely see you in this month. I'll be
so your Stalker 81 into it, or put your K77 into it and run it with the pipe, either way.
Yeah, that'd be a good one for the pipe.
Yeah, I would like to try the pipe. I want to see how that works out with the vertical CG and all that. I know.
I mean, like I said, it's an older airplane already. It was built out in 06. It has its flights in it already. Have fun with it.
In one piece. That's good.
Yeah. My father flew safe. He was never a daring flyer like I am, or more precise to the pattern. He flew more comfortable and more safe, so it stayed together.
Hey, everybody. JP's got a question he wants me to pose to our panel of experts out here. He wants to know, where does everyone stand on hardpoint handles? Haven't been able to try one yet, but he looks forward to.
Well,
take on that.
That's what I use all the time. The only time I use a wire handle is when the plane's brand new and I don't know where the neutral is. It's just easier for me to use a wire handle and find neutral, and then I will measure it, and I'll set up my hard point, and then I never look back. I never go back to the wire handle again.
For all my competition airplanes, right off the bat, I start when I use a hard point handle. I won't play with the cables. For fun fly airplanes, ringmasters, or anything like that, yeah, I use the cable handles for that because there's nothing. You're just having fun with it.
I know the cables do add some error to your movements, and when you're right at the handle, the plane is more sensitive to your exact hand movements. I talked to Samantha about it, and she told me that she immediately started flying better when she switched to a hard point handle, and that the plane was easier to control accurately.
Absolutely, very true statement. You're definitely going to fly better with a hard point handle. You got the control sitting right actually at with your fingers on it. You're going to get maximum control and better stability, and your turns you're going to find are a lot more accurate. You're not getting so much drift out of the you're going to get with the cable lines.
Drift, yeah, that's a good way to put it, that you get with the cables.
You got 22 gauge or larger cables coming out of your handle at 6 inches or more longer. When the plane comes down, those cables are still dragging out of the corner. They're still dragging and they're still moving. But you got our hard plane handle, the lines are staying right with you.
Yeah, they're a little springy. Those thick cables are springy. What about you, Tryon? What do you use? A hard point?
Yes, that's what I use, but that doesn't mean it's the right thing to use. Right now, I'm thinking about changing my handle, but not because of that. It's because it has like that adjustable bar in front of it, and I feel like it's kind of when I pull for the control, because it's the application point, it's in front of my hand. You're trying to do this with it, kind of thing. It kind of gets me tired on my arm a little bit. So I'm thinking if I move this to on top of my hand, it's going to be kind of easier to control, more like a Wendy Warnowski kind of handle. The one that he used.
Yeah, Lynn Burrell says he's using Wendy handles, and they work good for him.
Yeah.
You know, I guess Dennis, an engineer, if you hook a 15 thousandths wire on a big wire, and this airplane's flying, you can feel it stretch that huge wire. What's it doing to the little teeny one? There got to be all kinds of stretch then.
I don't think that's possible, because how much is that going to stretch? I mean, do you think you're going to stretch that cable?
I don't understand the hard.
It doesn't exist.
I think it's more of a springiness, a lateral springiness than a stretch.
That's what I want to ask. What do you mean by springiness when you say springy?
Well, I mean,
doesn't make sense.
The cable, rather than staying, a hard point handle, the cable comes to the handle and stops and comes straight off the handle no matter where you turn it. But with a cable handle, that cable handle might curve a little bit before it pulls.
That's drag. There's more drag to it.
The cable might give you a little bit of a delayed reaction.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't feel it, but I don't fly well. I guess once.
There's a big difference between a hard point handle and a cable handle.
Now I know Dick's on there. He likes cable. He's got hard points. He's tried them. He likes the cable. He likes the feel of the cable.
Yeah, I mean, lots of people use both and swear by them, so it might be just a matter of personal preference.
Yeah. I think the issue here is to have a nice exit for the cable itself, because of the one the handle with the bar in the front is kind of forced through, and it just does this angle and then goes outside, and it's very rigid and stuff like that. I can see it happening with the springiness, something like that. But you have a nice, if it comes out of your handle on a nice radii here, and have a nice radii up and down, so when you move the handle, it has nice freedom in there to move freely. I don't see why a cable would be wrong, as long as it's done right. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, but the way it pinches through that arm, I don't care for it.
Now in Europe, I see these guys flying on like a rope, a string.
And that's exactly what I want to ask you. What is the rope made out of? because I've seen them in I think Yashenko is
I
selling
think
those handles.
it's like Kevlar or whatever that, you know, like really super heavy string.
Now, it's also when you talk about a hard point handle, you're getting more into it. It's the size of the handle too, how it fits your hand, how you build the handle and size it to actually fit your hand. If you can buy a Brodak hard point handle and they're large and span, you got a lot of room between your fingers and where the top, where up and down is, where the top and bottom is in that gap. You buy one that was a Carl Shoup was making, which somebody else is making now, which was the Ted Fancher handle. You actually make that handle to fit knuckle to knuckle.
All you gotta do is get you a little bit of that tape from hospitals use. It's kind of like a cotton sticky, it sticks to itself. And just wrap that, and you can customize what kind of space you want. I mean, all of Samantha's handles, I take balsa wood and glue on both sides of the carbon fiber, and then we sand that to the width she wants it.
You talking about that blue tape, like that blue grip tape?
Yeah.
Yeah, like tennis racket tape.
You can wrap Band-Aids around it. It doesn't matter what you wrap around it. Just
I use the blue grip tape. I put that into there just a little bit on the grip.
Yeah, I use that too. Tennis racket tape.
It just gives you that extra comfort on the slip.
yeah, so you know, we custom make all of Samantha's handles to what she wants. How she likes the grip and the feel of it. I mean, we take the width, we sand the balsa on the. I can show you one of her handles. We get it for, well, she's got a Smith Brothers now, but before that we used Randy Smith's. And it's about the same thing, but I can show you what kind of handle she uses.
So do you guys know what kind of string they use on those European handles? The fabric, or I think it's like a parachute cord or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I'm not even seeing one. I'm interested in what you're talking about.
Yeah. One thing I have to say about, you know, some of those handles, you know, if you want to be able to adjust the sensitivity of the handle to your flying style, sometimes those are kind of hard to use. They might not have the range that you need. Sometimes.
The weight of the handles, always you gotta watch.
What?
The weight of the handle, how heavy the handle's going to be. Because it controls your sensitivity.
Why is that?
The weight of the handle?
Yeah.
You feel the tension and the controls of on the sensitivity. As you're actually coming through a maneuver, even your level flight, when you snap out of the corner and you want to level back out. The sensitivity to your lines on how it's going to torque to it is based on the weight of the handle. You have a handle that's built like a brick, you're not going to feel the tension as you get into it. You got a lighter handle, you're going to feel more tautness on your up and down.
I think, you know, it's not, I mean, if your handle, it's, say, 2-3 pounds, I understand that, but it just weighs a few ounces, you know.
Yeah.
It's not exactly something to worry about.
Now, this is what we were using before. She does fly on one of her airplanes with this handle. But you can see that it's just balsa wood glued on the side. You can adjust the thickness.
Right.
I glue balsa wood here and on the other side, both sides. So there's no where your fingers can go in. And then we sand that to where she likes the feel of everything about that handle, how it fits in her hand.
Yeah, yeah.
Once it's all done, put some dope on it. And then we wrap it real thin with a little bit of grip tape and good to go. But that's the handle she likes, but I don't see a difference. I know one thing is it's hard to get the adjustment on your lines.
Is that carbon fiber on that?
Yeah, it's carbon. Yeah, it's carbon fiber.
Is that one of those Moon Brothers handles?
No, I got this from Randy Smith.
Okay.
That's carbon fiber, and it's got the wood in the center too on the grip, right?
Yeah.
It looks like a Chris Cox handle.
Yeah, maybe make some for him or whatever, but yeah, it's pretty simple. The
those are light as hell. Those handles.
brother handle now. They do that. They come all the way around up all the way to the front with balsa wood on theirs. And then you can sand it or do whatever you want to it. You don't have to add anything. That's Samantha's favorite handle that she likes. But yeah, so but what I found out is that you have to buy the clip maker. Jim Lee sells 2 of them. One's like a full rotation and one's half rotation. You better have the half rotation because to try to get the trim on it without the line going through it, to get that perfect, you got to have all different size clips and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right, Steve. I actually bought both of those clip makers from Mr. Lee. I'm sold on the one that has the adjustment on both halves. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's the
deal where
that's the way the Fancher handle's made. You can adjust it on the top and bottom.
You know, the Brodak handle, you can adjust that in and out on that hard point. I don't know if anybody's has
That's why I think holding a steel bore.
Huh?
I have 2 of those Brodak handles, and I mean it's a good handle. I just prefer the wooden ones; they're lighter. You know, the Ted Fancher and even the Tom Morris's handle is lighter. So I do like a lighter handle, and the Brodak handle is heavy. Even I'm a strong guy, it's just more uncomfortable. It's more comfortable. I mean, with a lighter handle.
Yeah, you know, but I always said that, you know, most of your stuff, the only time I think that the weight of the handle would bother is when you're flying straight and level. Because now when you pull up anything overhead, the tension is pulling on that handle. So now that handle doesn't weigh anything.
Yeah, it might be more to it than just the weight of it, but my Brodak handles are not my first choice.
Right. But that's why I never understood about the weight of a handle. That it would only come into effect on straight and level because the gravity's pulling it down. Once you do anything else with it, it's trying to pull it out of your hand. It don't weigh anything. It's a negative weight.
Yeah.
I wonder about all that stuff. I don't think it really matters myself. You know, especially the weight of a handle. I don't. Except for straight and level, your handle could weigh too much.
Yeah.
But a real heavy handle that weighed like 5 pounds, it would pull less on your arm.
What are you gonna fly with it? You really?
I know that Jim Walker handle. I never used them, but I heard they're heavy.
Yeah, that's like a windy handle or whatever. Yeah, that's.
But
like,
do you see this detail here?
I had a windy handle. I flew with a windy handle. I didn't care for that.
No, I know that, but do you see this detail here?
Yeah, I see it.
This of it.
Like the exit has a nice radii around it.
Yeah.
Right.
So it doesn't break or you know you don't run into the risk of breaking it.
Yeah, it's not a stretch.
And basically,
right?
just a single screw here is they're gonna clamp it, so it's easy to adjust. You know, the bias on it. Something like
Do you
that.
have a handle like that?
No windy handles were made.
The only thing now I'll say one thing about the hard point. It's easy to adjust your spacing.
Yeah.
With the windy handle, your setup, you can't bias it or anything like that. And you shouldn't have to bias it. But we've had, you know, a couple of Samantha's airplanes where we had to make it so it turned insides harder than it turned outsides or vice versa. So we biased the handle that, you know, but that was something bad with the airplane. It really wasn't anything else, but
Almost always when you have a problem with the harder inside than outside or the vice versa, is basically the push rod from the bell crank to the flaps. That's where the adjustment is to take place.
Yeah.
And reset your neutral on the handle. You leave the flaps to elevator 1-to-1, but you just bias by making the push rod a little bit shorter or longer, you bias the neutral point on your bell crank, and that's gonna make it a little bit more up or a little bit less up, depending on which direction you go.
Can you adjust the 1-to-1 to where you have more elevator or less elevator?
On mine? On my plane?
Huh?
On my plane?
Yes.
I can get anything I want.
It's all adjustable.
Anything I want.
Oh, okay.
Really anything.
Because, you know, I was watching a Windy video and, you know, this is what he's saying. I don't know. He was saying a heavy airplane needs to be 1-to-1. The lighter the airplane, the more elevator you need and less flap. It makes it fly better. I don't know if that's true or not true. You know, maybe.
Yeah, you can lessen the throw on the flap.
Yeah.
Throw on the flap.
That's what he said, but you know, once I build the airplane, on these normal airplanes, there ain't no more adjusting it. So I never can prove or disprove that theory.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dennis was talking about that earlier. Dennis mentioned that earlier, shortening the flaps. And you'll need to turn better on that. And you're definitely going to get that better out of a lighter airplane.
Yeah, when you have, I don't see why would I do that. You know, shorten the flaps anyways, even on a light plane, or give it less lift. Because lift is lift, and the more you get, the faster it's going to turn. I tried with the less flaps, and I tried to 1-to-1, and I kind of went in between them, and I said, I stayed with 1-to-1 after all. And right now, what I'm playing with, actually, I went out flying last weekend a little bit, and when I flew it, it was, it was turning fast. It's blindingly fast in a corner, but I still retain the soft center. So I wanna get it even faster, because I'm trying to minimize how much I'm changing my flying style for this plane. I might have to do more and more in the future, more flying, more getting used to it, because in the past I was kind of like just flying the corner. Right now, like that, bam, just hit it, hit it, come back almost instantly, and the plane just changes and goes, right? So from flying to this, it's a huge change for me, and I'm trying to kind of stay on how I was flying before. So for that, I need more, either more handle spacing, or I need to change it at the bell crank and give it more push rod throw on the controls, which is very easy to do for me. That's not the reason for which I was thinking about making this handle I just drew over here, because I need a little bit more handle spacing, but I can adjust the sensitivity of the plane easily. So I don't care, it's like I can change it wherever I want to. It's very easy to do. So, either way I choose, it's very easy to do. So, what I found out last time that I went out flying is that I still want more corner in a plane, because I run expo in my controls. Actually, I run a lot of exponential in the controls. I found out that as I try to make the plane turn faster, the plane does turn faster, but the center is still as nice and comfortable as before. So I'm not even coming close to pushing it. So I'm thinking about, on the next tests that I want to do, I want to make it even faster than what it was before in a response. So, I'm hoping to get, I'm just hoping to get a lot faster corner and still maintain the center that's nice and soft and controllable and easy to fly.
Have you ever looked at Igor's control setup?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the control setup, and actually, I have a plan that I can retrofit my control setup to have Actually, both of them. I can have expo on the elevator. I can have the logarithmic on the flaps as well. But so far, I don't find a reason for me to change to that system. I mean, it's like Igor is moving the flaps faster in the center and softer on the outside. And I'm not sure I'm following the logic over there.
It cuts down the drag.
How is it doing that? Because more flaps is more drag.
Right, but I thought his stops. It's like it gives flaps, but then as you pull even more and more, the flaps don't keep going at 1-to-1. The flaps slow down and the tail traveling at the same.
Okay.
So flaps, it would give you less drag on a full handle deflection.
No, I think his reason was to get more mechanical advantage at the end points of the flaps, because the logarithmic is going to give you more power. Like if you have a servo and you try to deflect the flaps, the more deflection, the more lock you have on the flaps to hold it in that position, right? Because they tend to push back all the time because of the aerodynamic force that are going on them. But if you have that mechanical lock, I can push it all I want, it's still gonna stay there. So I think that's the logic of his logarithmic flaps. And maybe he's doing that so he holds the flaps in a certain position so he can turn the plane. But I have no issues of that sort with my plane, because my plane is just turning like gangbusters. I mean, just like, I cannot turn it fast enough. I mean, it's like I need more control handle. I need a lot more stuff to get to turn. I mean, right now I can turn it super fast, right?
Right.
And it's explosive in a corner, right? And I don't need that kind of a locking mechanism to lock my flaps. But what I found out is having a very, very soft center, right? That makes level flight. It makes the verticals, the horizontals, after you change directions, the lock in a maneuver, very easy to do. And in the same time, when you give it control, they move and accelerate towards the end. That's what exponential is. It has a soft center, very controllable soft center. So the rounds are rounds, easy to fly the round. It's easy to track in round maneuvers. But then when you give it control input for a corner, bam, it just goes. You get it. So I'm not sure. I'll try it. I'm trying everything. So I'm open to new ideas. I'm open to new stuff. So that's why.
I never liked exponential. I don't like if I gotta move, if the wind hits it or whatever, I'm gonna over move the stick or whatever to right. You're getting there too slow. I mean, by the time it's moved, you gotta move a half an inch on the stick or a quarter inch to where it's so much faster if you see it move to do a 16th of an inch move with your finger and write it again. And a bunch of us got away from exponential because the airplane's always like this. You can't correct fast enough.
No, it's just the opposite. I think you're talking about logarithmic. Logarithmic is going to give you a lot more movement in the center, a lot of sensitivity. Expo gives you a very soft center.
Right, you have
to move a lot on the center to make it move, but then as you move past a certain point, it accelerates fast.
So what I'm saying is, to move the flaps 1/8 of an inch in exponential, you may have to move a quarter on that stick. Now, once you get past the exponential, you can move 1/8, and it may move a half an inch on your surfaces.
Yeah, it depends how it's set up. I mean, maybe you didn't set it up far enough. Maybe if you use a little bit expo past that point, even more expo is gonna be soften up the band in the center. What is nice and cool, it's a lot wider now, so you can have a lot of adjustability in the center, right? And when you need a corner, you just get a corner, bam. Because
I kind of look at it when I race go-karts. guys would set up a sloppy steering in the center.
Mhm.
And you can do this with a steering wheel, and the damn go-kart doesn't do anything. Mine was set up. If you move it, it moves. There is none of this slop, and I look at exponential as slop, like in a ball joint or whatever.
No, it's not that.
It doesn't move things.
No, it's not that. Not that at all.
Yeah.
Cheyenne, have you do you have an exponential handle, Cheyenne?
What is that? It doesn't
An
exist.
exponential handle.
Jim, Larry Ringer designed one. I have one upstairs.
I've got one here, I think.
I've never even heard of that.
Oh yeah, I know a lot of.
It's soft in the center, and then it as you turn it's stronger.
So how is it, on what principle does it work?
And let me get it. I'll show you.
Mhm.
Larry Ringer's design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a non.
Kit for one here, Tryon. That somebody.
Don't lock himself out.
We're gonna have to knock off pretty soon here.
Hang on, I'll dig it out.
And we got Dennis up past his bedtime.
Yeah,
No,
me too.
I'm listening to this discussion. The handles are so subjective and everything like that. Everybody has what they like.
Yes, that's
And
all right.
I have a different opinion on a lot of things than a lot of people do. So I like to just sit back and listen sometimes. But I never liked flying with the call it the bar style handle for the reasons that Treon described. When basically all of your handle force is out in front of your hand, that's a bad thing. And it's better if you had with a cable handle, if you have the cable going through the middle of the handle and through the middle of your hand, that's better. What I'm struggling with, and I read about hard point handles, talked about to people who had them and everything, and everybody who I ever talked to said, "Man, this hard point handle, this is like getting religion. It's like a life-changing effect on my flying and everything like that." And I went and I tried my first hard point handle, and like right after flying the cable, and I went back and I flew the. I honestly can't tell much of a difference. It doesn't mean anything. What I don't like about the hard point is that depending on the way the handle is made, there you go. Bars are out in front, and it's like having a bar handle again. You've got all your applied loads are out in front of your hand, and you're working it. You have to work that much. You're working against things that don't have anything to do with controlling the airplane. And it's not like having, like, say, long bars on a normal cable handle where you get a lot of feedback from it, but not necessarily the same kind of force. So, I don't know. It's subjective, and I fly with both cable and hard points, and use them interchangeably, and I'll probably keep doing that. Whichever one feels good that I use.
But what I was wondering is, if you cut off the overhang off this handle completely and put your holes in there, so it's just straight up and down, wouldn't that give you better feel?
It would give you no feel.
That'd give you no feel?
Well, that's the thing. I think you'd get absolutely no feedback from the airplane at all. The airplane, when you have that overhang, what that is doing is it's pulling back on you, pulling back on your hand, making your hand go back to neutral, if you will. And if you get rid of that, then it's wherever you put your hand, that's where the control is. And you don't, if you have absolutely no feedback through the handle, I think that's a bad thing.
Okay.
All right.
If anybody
just a towel directly on top, so you have to have some attention to you there.
Yeah, Steve, look. Let me see if I can do this stuff here.
Oh wow!
This is how Expo works, okay? So you have, say you have a 5 degree, 10 degrees worth of deflection. This is your response on the other side, right? So if you look at this is 5, you probably have to move up to about 10, 15 degrees of deflection to get the equivalent of a 5 over there, right?
Right.
On the opposite side, and you get to a point up here, then this is pretty much a 1-to-1 ratio somewhere over here,
Right.
and
Yeah.
from here it accelerates.
The Expo, but what I'm saying is, to me, it's like sloppiness in the steering. Is how I feel. It's like,
over there. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
you have no movement of such to
Yeah.
where, like in race cars, they go 1-to-1. You know, there's 2-to-1 and all that kind of stuff. And just for me, I've never liked Expo because it seems like slop to me. And if I see that something has to be corrected, it takes too long to correct it. I got to stick twice as far, or if I got to move my hand twice as far, it's going to take twice as long to correct that. You know, I understand if everything's perfect and there's no wind or whatever, yeah, but if wind hits your airplane, you have to be able to correct really fast.
Now, if you have slop in a control and it's not a nice smooth system that's pretty tight or something like that, then you can definitely feel that. Yeah, I can see that.
And every time I fly, you know, RC, it feels like I got slop in the system. It isn't doing what I want it to do as quick as I want it to. I got to move the stick, you know, a certain part to fix this. If then I got to do a correction the other way, now I got to move all the way back across it to get that.
I see how it works.
Correction.
Yeah, you got it, Mike. You got even that better directions on it. You have the same handle, Mike.
Okay.
Exponential handle.
You would had to have moving parts on it somehow.
Yeah, it does. It moves.
Tryon, can you read that?
Yeah, I see it.
Or do you want me to read it out loud? I don't. That's the meat of it right there. So.
Yeah.
I've seen that already where
it says the concept behind this handle is to smooth out level flight, give moderately increased control for round maneuvers, and full control for hard corners.
Let me see the picture again. Let me see the picture again. It actually doesn't make any sense what he did over there.
And then it says,
I've seen that already.
It says, as
I didn't have a good look about it though.
It says, as the handle is deflected, the line spacing actually increases, where a conventional handle provides decreasing line spacing. Initially set up the link spacing so that full deflection, you have the spacing you normally use on a conventional handle. Once you are used to the effect, experiment with other spacing. With the minimum space set to your normal width, the exponential effect becomes quite dynamic. Charles, show your finished handle because mine's not finished. This one's still a kit.
All right, so maybe in this dimension, and there's like there's 3 holes.
Higher. Yeah, okay. There you go.
So there's 3 holes. Oh, here we go. There's 3. You can see the 3 holes. So I can adjust the line spacing with these 3 holes, and so that's how it works. It's makes neutral soft around neutral level flight, and you have more deflection.
But to me, it looks like a placebo.
Is that the handle you fly with, Charles?
No, I've actually I got it from my son. I thought it would help him being a beginner. You know, beginners always want to over control, and I thought it really would help him around neutral. And I didn't really use it very much. Because I was always in between a contest last year or something. I didn't want to mess up what I was doing, so I've used it sparingly. The only thing I don't like about this handle is that I hear it clicking, and that was always a little distracting. It was just the metal, the slop in the handle. I would hear I'd hear something, and it would bother me. That noise, it would just kind of. But I think it's a good design. And I just really haven't given it a fair shot, really.
Now I know with Samantha.
All right, this is what I'm looking at, right? If you're looking at that handle over there, you basically have an application point over here and over here.
I can't have those glare. There's glare. It's kind of hard to see your drawing. There we go. A little better.
Can you see now?
Yeah.
Okay. So if this is the handle, okay, these are your C looking, you know, kind of connection, right? And another one on the top.
Yeah.
And these 3 points are always aligned. 1, 2, and the lines. So in other words, it's like if you connect these lines straight to this point and this line straight to that point, and they pivot around this point, it's the same thing.
I think
how's the expo working?
Yeah, what you're missing there, and what it doesn't come right through is that whatever line you're applying, that arm only moves one. The arms only move one direction. So when you like give it up, that top line, it doesn't move horizontally. It tilts. The bottom releases. But
I see that.
Yeah, Charles, show the hand again.
All right, and then when it goes the other way, you know, one side it releases. It's really probably easier to see in that the fact that it's releasing the line that you're not pulling on.
I understand it now.
All right. So,
it.
you know, it's an interesting concept. Again, I think my concern with it is that the handle has to be completely neutral for it to work properly. And if you have anything like, if your hand has any angle in it or anything like that, you're not going to be able to really take advantage of what the handle can do for you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, so those move in and out, but only one at a time.
And the one point too that maybe some are missing is that when you have a regular handle and when you tilt back, you're collapsing the spacing between the lines. And on this handle, when you move back, you're not collapsing that spacing.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I think that's a weak argument. I know Larry made that, but the handle's rotating. The spacing isn't changing. It's a rotational thing. And then the line that you're pulling on, it didn't get any farther out. The line that's not doing any work. That's the one that the spacing's increasing on. So that's not. I don't know. I don't buy that part of Larry's argument.
So this should go to eBay. Anybody want to buy a Larry Ringer Expo handle?
You should try it. You should try it, Mike, and make up your own mind. I haven't given it.
You already got the darn thing. Fly it.
I don't care from I've seen other people use them, and I didn't see anything that was performingly great about it.
Try and send me your address. I'll send it to you. Try it.
That's it.
Yeah, I said it wrong. I think the line spacing actually increases as you tilt back.
Just bring it.
Okay, guys.
Too many extra moving parts that can bind and fail, especially at the handle.
What did you say, Steve?
Too many parts that can move at the handle and they can bind and fail on you. I don't agree with that whole setup.
Well, I'll tell you guys too, one thing Samantha does with her handle, and you guys can try it. She flies a concave handle. So we'll sand this out here. So when she's flying straight and level, all she does is pinky and pointer finger.
Yep. Good deal.
Well, what she needs is to try is, I believe, as the Chinese did this about 10 or 15 years ago. They had the lines attached to a ring and the rings attached to their fingers. They had no handle.
Wow.
Remember that?
Some of the F2D guys, the combat guys, fly with handles like that. It's literally, it's two rings.
Yeah.
On the fingers. That's
it.
But yeah, if you watch Samantha or watch a video, you'll see her when she takes off, she's here. And then once her level flight's done, she reaches in and makes a fist on their handle. Then when she goes into landing, she moves that handle back out, way out. And when we were at, the Nats, whatever, if you look at her scores, it's hard to beat her in level flight and takeoff and landings. I mean, she gets 38s, 39s. She's got 40s. I mean, you hardly see that airplane move. But that's how she just fingertip flies it. But that's where a plane that pulls really hard, she has a hard time with it because she's just flying on these two fingertips. She She ain't gripping that thing.
All right, guys, I'm out. I got to get Samuel to bed. He's still up.
Okay, I'm going to tell everybody good night, and because this conversation could go on forever, but I appreciate y'all talking so adamantly about your handle feelings. Had no idea that discussion was going to develop as well.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's even worse than politics. But yeah.
No, it's not. But had fun. Hey, it was a great night. We're down to 13 watching on YouTube now. We had about 25 earlier. So y'all are great, man. Appreciate y'all coming in. Everybody have a good weekend. Go do something fun and come back and tell us about it next week. And all you YouTubers out there, thank you. And good night. We'll see you back Monday. Same bat time, same bat channel.
All righty.
Take care, everybody.
Good night.
Steve, thanks a lot.